We're live. Guys, this is the Brutal Business Bootcamp. Guys, we are recording this. We are streaming this. We've got people in the audience here in Birmingham. My name is Edward van der Klein, and I just can't tell you how excited I am. We are live. We're in person. It's a super exciting day for us. I'm just going to run you through a couple of things. I won't be long before the main event actually starts. Just want to let you know, if you're watching this on the live stream, feel free to comment in the Facebook group. Feel free to comment on YouTube. My team and myself will be moderating your comments and questions on the side. There's a couple of things. First of all, a big shout out for Alpha Works. We're here in Birmingham on the 21st floor of Alpha Tower in Alpha Works. Amazing facilities. We've got 2 floors of studio offices. We've got co-working space, and we're big fans here. The amenities are awesome. You've got a gym with showers. There's free coffee. There's networking events. There's social events. Free beer on a Friday. That's the other thing I want to say. Today is all about value, and this is literally the only pitch I'm going to make, because if you leave your details in the comments below, if you want to come and work in Birmingham and you want to join us here, then we have a discounted day pass for you. Just let me know, and I'll get you in touch with the community manager here at Alpha Works. Absolutely awesome. The second thing, right, and I just want you guys, if you're sitting down, please stand up, right? It's going to be a quick exercise, guys. It's just going to be fun, but it's going to demonstrate a really good point. So if you take your right hand and wiggle it about, yeah? If you want to do a bit of dance as well, that's also good. Yeah? Just to loosen things up. Right, now make it into a fist and put it to your chin. Chin, guys. I did say chin, right? This is all about attention, not retention. You can sit down, by the way, but please sit down. Yeah, enjoy, relax. This is all about attention. The next 3 hours, I promise you, it's a stone-clad guarantee. It's going to be the best 3 hours of your life. It is. But if you do not take action from this session, yeah, it's just going to be all for nothing. So what I want you to take away from this session is just one thing, one golden nugget, one piece of valuable advice, and then take action today. Yeah, after the session, during the session, well, not during the session, but after the session, today, take action on that golden nugget. There's going to be lots of advice, lots of, brutal truths. Yeah, awesome stuff. But if you take action on that one thing, 3 months from now, 6 months from now, 12 months from now, your life could genuinely change, like unrecognizable, right? There's going to be plenty of examples in the room. There are examples in the room of people who are making it happen because they've took action on some of these nuggets, right? But they're literally going to be worthless if you don't. So I'll quickly run you through the agenda for today. The first person who's going to be up is my esteemed colleague and CEO of Blam, Grant Stain. He's going to talk to you about the secret of success. We're going to have David Rahman, UK mind coach, talking about the science of achievement. We're going to take a bit of a break. Yeah, time for you to take action, by the way. We're going to have an awesome interview with the digital agency owner, a lady called Shirelle Casale. She's also a professional football player. I'm really looking forward to that one. Then we're going to have a great friend of mine, awesome dude, brother from another mother, yeah, Theo Hoffman. He's going to talk about whatever it takes. And this guy, like brutal is not even the word. Yeah, relentless. It's unbelievable. Yeah, very exciting to watch him. Then Grant's going to talk about dictionary of success, really powerful. Yeah, we're all hung by our own tongue, and there's some really cool takeaways there. And then the main event is with Jojo Dinta. It's a billionaire interview. Well, how often do we get to spend time with a billionaire? Not very often. Today you are. Guys, it's going to be the best 3 hours of your life. I guarantee it. I'll see you in the comment section. I will be coming back after the break. But for now, that's all for me, and we're ready to get started. Thanks, mate. Woo! Thank you.
Thanks, Ed. That was awesome. Welcome, guys. So I've got to tell you before we start, when we first came up with the idea of doing this boot camp, I was really excited by the idea of it because we've called it Brutal Business Boot Camp because there's so many people out there giving us advice about how to be successful in business. But quite often they sugarcoat it a bit, don't they? They kind of make it sound easy. You know, you get all these influencers that drive around in their Lamborghinis telling you that they've made money overnight and all that kind of stuff. But you know what, guys? I don't recall anybody that I've met who's super successful in business that has found it easy. Business really is brutal, guys. And so we came up with this idea. We wanted to give it to you straight how it is. But one of the things that I just do want to share with you is that having just come out of lockdown and now being able to run an event where we've got socially distanced, we've got people in the audience here, which is absolutely fantastic. Now, for the first time, we've done a lot of events in the past. We've got the challenge of a broader audience all over the world viewing this live, as well as being able to record it for future use, as well as being able to bring people in from different parts of the world to actually interview, and then be able to actually make sure that the people in the room can hear what you're saying. Quite a few challenges, I've got to tell you. So, in fact, Theo sat over there smiling because this is his area of expertise. I said to Kobe, perhaps we should have asked Theo before we did this, exactly what we should be doing. So if we are getting any feedback or there's any glitches along the way, guys, just bear with us. We're going to be doing lots of this sort of stuff. We will get better, I promise. But first and foremost, guys, let me kick things off. Some of you may know me, some of you may not. I'm Grant Stain. I'm the CEO here at Blam. We're in a business called Blam Partners, which helps people set up their own digital marketing agency. We've got a few of them in the room today. We're going to be interviewing one of them. But as a result of that, I've actually mentored and coached hundreds of small business owners over the years. So my experience of success and failure is extensive. I'm going to tell you a bit about that today. As Ed said, we've got the legend that is David Rahman. I've become really good friends with this guy over the last, during lockdown, actually. We've done lots of stuff together during lockdown. He's known as the Mind Coach, recently published his book, Let It Go. And he's just such a fantastic influence on me, my team, and the Blam partners. And I'm absolutely delighted that we're able to have him join us today because whenever I hear him speak, and prior to lockdown, he was speaking all over the world. This guy just leaves me feeling energized. He makes it sound like it makes sense, and he gives me the opportunity to take action. So I'm absolutely delighted to have him to be able to share his knowledge with you. Shirelle Casale she's been with Blam for a few years now. It must be about 5 years she's been a partner. She's one of our top 5 partners. She's an absolute legend when it comes to her approach to business. She's seen a 200% increase in her business during the pandemic, and there's not many people that can say that. And it's as a result of her mindset and the way that she approaches her business. And what I'm really keen to share with you, we're going to be doing an interview, and she's going to be live on the stage with me. I want to share with you a bit of her history, a bit of her mindset, because as you can see in the picture, she probably won't thank me for this because she probably wanted the more business-like picture, but she's a professional international footballer. And there's a lot of crossover between the mindset it takes to be, at the top level in sport, as well as be at the top level in business. And then this guy, what a legend Theo is. I've known Theo a few years now, and I've seen him grow so much in that time. I'm absolutely delighted that he's joining us because I hope he won't mind me using him as a bit of an example, because if there's anybody I know that's going to be super successful, it's Theo. There's just no question. He's on the journey. Nothing's going to stop him. And I want you guys to understand the mindset that has taken him to where he is and how he's got there, because it's been a journey, as I know he will agree. It doesn't come naturally. This isn't something you're born with. And we're going to extract that. We're going to find out more about Theo. And I guarantee, guys, when I interview him again in a couple of years' time, he's going to be right up there. He's going to be right up there. And then finally, we've got Jojo. This guy has just been a massive influence on me. I'm not gonna give too many spoilers with Jojo, because I'm going to talk a bit about him again. But he's joining us live. You guys will get the opportunity to ask Jojo questions. So for those of you that are watching this live on Facebook, what question would you ask a billionaire businessman? What question would you ask somebody who was a millionaire before the age of 20, who came from really humble beginnings, just down the road from where we are now in Coventry, and has just had a mindset that is just phenomenal what he's achieved. $23 billion his businesses turned over last year. And that's during a global pandemic that, most businesses would have struggled, especially the industries that he's in. What would you ask Jojo? I would love to see you putting some comments into the feed, because, I've interviewed him a couple of times before, and, speak with this guy regularly. But what would you ask him? What would you ask him? So let's crack on, guys. What is this event about? Okay, so I bet you're asking, why are you here? Well, it's about success in a nutshell, because if you're watching this, the chances are you're in business, you are or looking to start a business, and the whole reason for doing that is you want to be successful. So who is it for? Well, it's people who really, really want success. Now, I say that with some emphasis, because guess what, guys? If you don't really, really want it, you've got no chance. Absolutely no chance. So if that's you, if you really, really want success, there's going to be some fantastic information for you in this. So, big question. A lot of people ask me this in the lead up to this session. Why is it brutal? Well, I'm going to give this to you straight between the eyes. Business is brutal, guys. It is brutal. I don't know anybody who's been super successful or a failure in business that doesn't think that business is brutal. If you choose to go into business, you are not choosing the easy path. You're choosing the most difficult one. And it is going to be tough. And you should know that right now. Because if you're not prepared for it to be 10 times worse than you think it's going to be, you're not going to succeed. Now, that might sound tough, but it is the brutal business bootcamp, guys. Okay? It is the brutal business. If you're not in business yet and you're going into business, I guarantee there's going to be plenty of times when you think about throwing in the towel. There's going to be plenty of times where you question why you did it, because business is brutal. Now, I don't want to be negative. I'm a very positive person. I just want to share this with you, because guess what? On the flip side, it's absolutely freaking awesome. Being in business, it's the best thing ever. It's yin and yang. It's yin and yang. Now, I would know all of this because, let me tell you guys, I've had a lot of businesses. I've had a lot of businesses. I've had a lot of successes. I've had a lot of failures. More failures than successes, I can tell you. And, the different businesses that I've been involved in, I've got a few pictures here from things that I've been involved in. I've seen a lot of the business world. I feel well qualified. And guess what? All these businesses, every single one that I've had, I'm into double figures. Can't remember exactly how many. I can't remember how many businesses I've got at the moment half the time. People ask. But every single one of them has taught me something. And let me tell you what else, guys. I'm still on the journey. I don't consider myself successful right now. So I'm not standing up here dictating to you from my pedestal saying, I'm a success, you want to be like me. Part of the reason I wanted to do this boot camp was because this is part of my journey. By actually going down the process of putting this presentation together, it's really helped me dig under the bonnet and figure out where we're going. So we're on the journey together, guys, and that's what's really, really exciting, because there are all different levels of success. Here's the brutal truth that I know from business, and this is after coaching, over 300 people in business startups, and talking to multiple entrepreneurs, super successful people, including the likes of Jojo. There is no secret, guys. There's no secret to success. If you think that you're going to come away with something today that is the magic nugget that is going to be the secret to your, success and all the things that you've wished for, there's no secret, guys. There's no secret. However, bear with me. Let's see what we can do. Let's see what we can do, because I wouldn't call it a secret, because it's pretty much out there if you're looking for it. But there are things we can do. So first and foremost, guys, let me ask you, what is success to you? Now, this is where we have to start, guys, because when I'm doing my coaching, when I'm doing my mentoring, I'm not even shocked by it anymore, but it does seem counterintuitive. A lot of people don't actually really know what success looks like. They find it very difficult to define. Now, this is problem number one. So everybody that's out there, guys, I want you to pay attention to this question, because we need to define it. As entrepreneurs, as business people, or if you might be employed by somebody, you might be in sales, you may be, somebody that works as a freelancer, or whatever it is that you are doing. What is success to you? Because most people assume that when we're in business, we talk about success, we're talking about money. Money's just one part of it, guys. There are so many ways of defining success. It could be health. I feel pretty flipping successful when I wake up healthy every day. I've got to tell you, it's better than if you've experienced waking up unhealthy. Health, and we know this, don't we, over the last 18 months, that's a massive form of success. What about wealth? Wealth means more than just money. Wealth, a wealth of everything. Is that what you define as success? And what does it mean to you? Time. Now, I know people that recognize that if they carve out more time in their busy week, in their schedule, that is success to them. Is that what defines your success? How about love? Surely that's the ultimate form of success. If you find love, if you are fulfilled with love, surely that is the ultimate. Think about it, guys. What about friends and family? The road to success, particularly in business, sometimes leaves these guys behind. I've asked specifically, we've got a lot of bland partners that are watching this today, lots of entrepreneurs that will be watching this. Are these guys part of your success? What about things, stuff, cars, boats, jets, stuff? Is that success to you? This needs defining. You need to know what success looks like before you get there. Because just a minute ago, I said to you guys, I'm not a success. I'm on that road to success. But I've got to tell you guys, I feel pretty freaking smug in the morning when I wake up. I've got to tell you, because I absolutely adore my life. I do feel super successful when I'm looking at these things. Because surely that's what life is all about. Because why do you really want to be successful? Now, this is something that I can answer, guys. I can answer this one. Because really, it's happiness. The reason we need to define our success is because we want to be happy. And I tell you, when I speak to super successful people, or the perception of super successful, they're not all happy. They're not all happy. You could be sitting on your yacht in Barbados, really fed up if your wife's just left you. Okay? Because you didn't pay attention to you. All right, darling? Love you. Happiness, guys, is what it's all about. So, is there a secret to success? know that that is the destination. That is the destination. I'm absolutely delighted to say, and I am a bit smug to say I'm already there, but guess what? There's loads more I want to do. And I absolutely love taking a look under the bonnet and figuring out how we can improve. And the thing that I get the most pleasure out of is helping other people and seeing other people go on that journey. And from the benefit of my experience of all those businesses, all those screw-ups that I've made over the years, all the things that, I think, why the hell did I do that? The benefit of that is that I'm able to talk to other people to give them the benefit of my experience. So let me ask you another really important question, guys. How badly do you really want that success? How badly do you want it? I love doing marks out of 10. Marks out of 10 is my favorite thing. We've just had our team meeting. Every Friday, our team comes together, usually on Zoom or Google. We were able to, because some of them are here at this event, we were able to do it in live in the room for the first time for a while. We always mark our week out of 10 because it makes you think about it, doesn't it? It makes you think if you're marking something out of 10, it's going to give you a barometer, a gauge of where you are. I was a 10 today, by the way, because I kind of made a decision that I'm always going to be a 10 from now on. I think, why wouldn't you be? You know what? I woke up this morning, one of my favorite ones. And when I woke up this morning, I put my arms out like that and I stretched like that. You know what? And if you don't hit a wooden box, it's a fantastic day, guys. It's a fantastic day. So where are you? Are you a 1? Are you a 10? Are you somewhere in between as to how badly you want it? And when do you really need to achieve it? The success that we've just talked about. Now, I hope you're writing this down, guys. I'm going to explain that to you in a minute because you need to go back and look at this and ask yourself these questions over and over again. When do you really need to achieve that success? Notice what I've said there, guys. When do you really need to achieve it? Okay? Because if you just want to achieve it, maybe you're a 5 and you might want to achieve it in a year or so. I hear that kind of stuff a lot. Guaranteed you're not going to get there. Guaranteed. You know that, Matt. You're a freaking maniac. That's why, mate. You're one of us. So when do you really need to achieve it? 1 month, 1 year, 5 years? We need to know. So what's stopping you? What is stopping you achieving? Oh, sorry. So I'm getting waved at. Thanks, mate. So what is stopping you, guys? Well, that's where the exciting bit comes about today, because David is going to explain the science to you. And I've got to tell you guys, on my entrepreneurial journey, this is one of the things that I've been absolutely fascinated by, the science of what actually makes us tick as human beings and why we do things that seem completely counterintuitive retrospectively. David's going to explain the science, the way our brains work, and why we get in our own way, why we can't do things. The science is the really exciting bit. Do you know what? I could do a whole other presentation just on the science of things. But David, in 20-25 minutes, will be able to explain it in a way that I could never hope to, because the way he delivers the information, science sometimes can be a bit boring, can't it? But David, it just delivers it in such a brilliant way. Shirelle will demonstrate how knowing the stuff about the science will show you how the skills that she learned as a footballer are actually transferable, and how that the science behind the way she developed those skills, she's actually transferred into business. Theo is going to show you what that journey looks like, because Theo, who's just sat over here, will tell you in a little while, this didn't happen by accident. This, it didn't happen by accident. I will tell you that much for nothing. Okay, you've got to understand the pain that this guy's gone through to get to where he is now, and he's still on that journey. But there's no question where he's going. And then Jojo is going to show you the finished article. Because Jojo, when you hear from him, when you speak to him, when you start engaging with him, you won't really be thinking, I wonder why this guy's successful. You won't be thinking that at all. But there's lots of things and characteristics about Jojo that might not be what you imagine from somebody who's such a high performer. And he is a super high performer. I had a chat with him earlier about what we're going to talk about. Guys, remember what I said? If you want to put some questions in the feed, what would you ask Jojo? This guy is a super high performer. This guy is somebody who is able to multitask like you would not believe. And he gets results over and over again. He gets failures as well. Takes them on the chin, moves on. Quick time check. Okay, so I'm just checking the time, guys, so we make sure this runs like clockwork. So here's some truth, guys. Some brutal truth. I mean, this is the brutal business boot camp after all. Everything you hear today, and you will see some more spelling mistakes, just so you know. Plenty of spelling mistakes in this. Most entrepreneurs are dyslexic. And I did do this one myself, but everything you hear today will go to waste. Now that's harsh, isn't it? That's brutal. It will go to waste unless you take action. Now, Ed said this earlier, didn't he? How can you take information that you hear today, take one thing and take action? Because you're investing time in listening to this presentation today. You're investing your valuable time. Time is one of the things on the success list. Time is really, really vital to you. If you're going to invest this time, how are you going to make that a good investment? By taking action. Okay, guys, let's get some more brutal truth out of the way. Most of you won't. Most of you won't. That means you guys. You won't. You'll listen to this presentation. You may feel a bit motivated. You might feel excited about it. You might think brilliant. But guess what, guys? You'll finish the presentation. You'll go make a cup of tea, or you'll go down the pub. It is Friday. You'll perhaps might talk about it, think about it a bit. You'll wake up tomorrow and you'll think, yeah, I'll do something about that I talked about next week. You won't do anything. You won't do anything. I should know. I've done it myself. I've listened to some awesome presentations and done nothing. Nothing at all. Even though I had every intention of doing so. This is brutal truth of what we are like as human beings. David Rahman is going to help us understand a bit of why that is. Here's some more brutal truth, guys. Now, this one is going to hurt. All right? Most of you never will. Most of you never will take action and achieve the success that you think about or talked about. That's pretty harsh, isn't it, guys? Thought you were going to get motivated today. I said it'd be brutal. I said it'd be brutal. The truth is, guys, it is up to you. It is up to you to make this one different. It's up to you to take action. And it's up to you to use every single ounce of your energy, your willpower, your determination, your perseverance to make sure that you don't make this just an annoying memory. from that day that you sat and watched that bloke with the funny cap on work like a maniac, okay, who talked about something that you didn't necessarily agree with. Make sure that that doesn't happen today. Make sure that you take action. Because today, and this is the good bit, guys, this is the exciting bit, you will actually hear, spelled correctly, the formula for success. You will hear it. You will hear the formula of success. But you've got to be listening. You've got to be listening for it. Because there's one thing that I know with absolute assuredness. I mean, just think about it, guys. You think about how many books are out there that talk about success. How many books there are that, you know, Think and Grow. I mean, I've read them all. Think and Grow Rich, you know, How to Win Friends and Influence People, 10X, you name it. Rich Dad, Poor Dad, Ed's favorite. 7 Habits of Success, Atomic Habits. This is great. Any more, guys?
100 million.
The First 100 Million, like that one. Boone Hickins, that one, yeah. 1 Minute Millionaire. These are all awesome books. The Millionaire Next Door. Any more, guys? Keep them coming. We've all read these books. We've read these books. I don't know about you guys. I'm not a billionaire yet. Are you? No, I read the book. I read the book. The book didn't work. It must be broken. Is the book broken? I don't know. It's because, guys, you know, let's be sensible about it. There is no one formula for success, but there is one for you. There's one for you. And you have got to find it. You have got to identify it. One size does not fit all, because otherwise I'd just copy what Jojo did. There you go. No problem. I just copy Jojo, and there we go. Job done. I got no hope of copying that guy. No hope whatsoever. I think I'm a maniac. My God, that guy is a maniac. Now, you will hear a formula for success somewhere in this presentation today. You will find the secret within this content, because we're going to cover everything today. We're going to cover everything that you need to know. But what really needs to happen is for you to get that and take action, to find your formula. I'm looking with you, guys. I'm looking in there with you. It's been an absolute blast putting this together, guys. I've loved it. Absolutely loved it, because having putting this presentation together, I've had to dig deep, really dig deep. So somewhere in this boot camp, there is a spark that can light your fire. But if you're not looking for it, if you take this information in a blasé way, it's going to happen what I just said. You're never going to take action. And the same thing can happen on the next one, and on the next one, and on the next one. In fact, I don't advise doing this, but I do recall, I've known this for a while, by the way, guys. About 10 years ago, I was at a webinar, before webinars, an actual real life seminar like this, big one. And I was well aware that this is a possibility, but I was also well aware that I could quite easily leave that whole weekend away and not apply any of it. I was well aware that was an actual opportunity. I sat in that presentation, and this happened. The spark happened in the presentation. That moment of inspiration, that eureka moment, that, oh my God, yes, that is what I need to do. And I got up and I left. And I left the seminar halfway through the day. I drove back to the office and I just implemented like hell. And that was where one of my successful businesses was born, from that spark. And you've got to find that today. It's in here, guys. It is in here, because that spark of motivation, is the thing that can get you moving in your business, and then you've got to keep the momentum going. It can be different things to different people. This is why there's no one book that we're all going to read, because I mean, Think and Grow Rich is pretty close. I would say it is pretty close. But do you know what? It takes quite a bit to digest that book. I've read it a few times. You've got to read it a few times to get it working. But guess what? Different things for different people can be that thing that get you going, that get that spark. Reading books could be a potential, but there's something in this today, I guarantee it. So use this day to make a difference. Use this moment to actually be the thing that gets you started. Because on this presentation today, we've got people who are not even in business yet, not even on the journey. A lot of this stuff that I'm talking about may seem quite alien to you. And you've got to make sure that the information that you get sticks. So remember what I said. If you do not take action, if you're at the beginning of your entrepreneurial journey, you're going to sit through a lot of presentations like this that don't go anywhere. If you are in business and you are in the early stages of business, remember that this journey is going to have its ups and downs. There is no straight line to success. There's no secret formula, and there's nothing that you can read or do that's going to make that journey any easier. It is going to be brutal. If you know that now, like Grant Cardone says, it's going to, however hard you think it is, it's going to be 10 times harder. You've got to work 10 times harder to get it. And that is part of that formula, guys. So use that information and take it in a positive way, because guess what? This is all brilliant news if you're an entrepreneur. If you take this on board and you understand the energy and the effort that you've got put into it, you know how brutal business is going to be. You've got a chance of being the one that makes the success. And the reason there are successful people and then loads more people that aren't successful is because the winners are the ones that take this kind of information, implement it. And the reason it is hard is the reason only a few people make it. Only a few people make it. Is that going to be you guys?
100%.
Yeah, baby. It all starts today, guys. It all starts today. I'd just be so pleased, guys, if this could be the thing that gets you started, that actually gets you motivated, that sees you on your journey. There's people that are watching that I know already know this. They already know they're on the journey. And we're all here to show them, yeah, just like me, we're on our journey. This is what it takes. We know. So let's get brutal again, because you've got to start right now. Let's get brutal again. Because do you know what's going to happen, guys? Some of you are going to be shouting at me right now. Luckily, nobody in the room. Nobody's chucked anything at me just yet. However, stop making excuses, guys. Do you know what? There's a lot of information out there that you get where people sort of sugarcoat it a bit. They, you say, oh, it's okay if you don't do this, you don't do that. Stop making excuses. You making excuses while you're not successful. Whose fault is it? Somebody else's fault. Stop complaining. We have to have a positive mental attitude all the time.
PMA, baby.
PMA. Stop complaining. Get on with it. Business is brutal. So don't complain to me. Just get on with it. Five minutes. Maybe 5-minute call. I'm winding up now. We can get him on a bit early if you like, because he's a lot less boring than me. If you get David on standby, we'll bring him in. But this one, guys, is just so. I'm not allowed to swear today. My wife said I can't swear. When I get fired up, the F-bombs start dropping, guys. But she said you can't swear.
You can say
fudge. I put frickin'. I'm thinking fricking's all right. Ryan.
It is, but I'm silently correcting your grammar again.
Silently correcting my. Take freaking action, guys. So instead of complaining, instead of making excuses, take action. Take action. I mean, we're going to be talking to Jojo later. God, that guy's an action taker. I've never heard him make an excuse. I've worked with him for a while now, on and off on different projects. And when anything ever goes wrong, he doesn't complain. He doesn't make any excuses. He just takes action in a slightly different direction. He just keeps moving forward at such a pace. He's like an absolute freaking rhino. Unstoppable. Unstoppable. So whatever happens, guys, own it. It's your fault. And guess what? It's okay. It's okay if it's your fault. It is okay. Don't blame somebody else. If you don't achieve your success, if it goes wrong, that is absolutely fine as long as you take responsibility, because that way you can keep moving forward. Now, Grant Cardone, one of my heroes, he's got a great first name. He always says, if ever you listen to his audios, if you read his books, he reins it in a bit. But if you listen to his audio, he narrates them himself. I listened to it this morning to get me fired up for this, because that guy is just an absolute maniac. He always says, don't be a little bitch. He says, don't be a little bitch. What he means is, don't try and blame other people for your lack of success. Take responsibility for it, because whatever happens, it's your fault. Don't beat yourself up. We all screw up. We all make mistakes. Absolutely fine, but keep moving forward, because we've just got to do this, guys. We've got to do it. And I tell you what, guys, for all the brutalness that I've just given you, that's a word. For all that brutality, okay, it's just the best thing in the world being in business. It is the best thing in the world. And whether you are on a journey with an entrepreneur who you're helping, or whether you are doing it on your own, business is just the best journey. And I cannot recommend it highly enough. But just pay attention to some of the stuff that you're going to hear today. So with that in mind, I've now got the exciting and absolute pleasure task of introducing you with a little bit, I'm a little bit nervous about doing this, because the tech that we've had to do to try and get him linked in, I'm trusting it's going to go perfect. It's going to go swimmingly. He told me it would, and he should know. But Mr. David Rahman, are we good? Is he in? Okay, so Mr. David Rahman has joined us. I'm going to get him on the screen in a minute. Like I say, this guy is an absolute legend. He's known as the mind coach. His book, Let It Go, has turned into my sort of mindset Bible over the last few months. And I just refer to it a bit like an encyclopedia. I like kind of dip in and out of it, because some of the stuff that's in there, it's just easy to digest. And I get it, I just get it. It makes such sense. So David's going to talk to you today about the science behind achievement and the reason why we do and don't find the success within us, the ways that we hold each other back. So I'm going to pass over to David now, and hopefully I'm going to be able to do this little transition. So bear with me, guys. Okay. Are we good? David, can you hear me? Yes. Embrace the beauty of technology. Absolute pleasure to have you, buddy. So I've done your intro, and we've got a bit of tech support. What we've got to do. So bear with us just a minute, guy. David, what do you want me to do? Right. We're just trying to get you on full screen, mate. There we go. Look at it. We've got your beautiful, beautiful face.
truthful stuff. And yeah, we're all on this journey. I'm certainly on my journey, and I want to share some things with you. I didn't know what I was going to do today, so I put together some slides that was actually before Grant I had spoken about. I was going to talk about, so I put a few slides together. If I could share my screen, where can I share my screen so I can present something? So I wanted to give you as much value as possible. And I think
Can you hear me, David?
I can hear you.
Yeah. So Google Meet's changed slightly. So at the bottom, the little square with the arrow in it is you sharing your screen.
Okay, cool. So I want to deliver as much value as possible and go through my journey, because we're always talking about journeys, and I put it into the slides, my journey. So if I could help you guys. Let's have a look. So there's my screen. Okay, hopefully you can see my screen. Do you see my screen?
Not at the moment. Kobe, I think, do I need to do that, Kobe? Right. Bear with me, David. So I'll just pin that one. There we go. You're all good.
I want to put this together for you guys today because I truly believe we can change, and let's put it in under 90 days. And when we're talking about change, we're talking about mindset. I'll go through the science behind it in a part of this training. But I always thought that with a lot of us, including myself, we've been through a lot of self-help books. We look for social media for inspiration, motivation, and sometimes it can overwhelm us. So what I put together is like a three-step process for you to become more confident. Because for me, confidence is like the bedrock for a person in business. The more confident we are, the more we can talk to our clients, prospects, and so on. So I put together a few slides. There's quite a few slides actually, Grant. Sorry.
No, mate, it's all yours. No problem.
Lightning speed. So
there's no rush, mate. We've got a while.
okay, cool. So if everyone's got a pen and paper, if you're just an audio person, just listen and go over it later. If you're a visual person, watch and so on. So I would say try and take one word or two words here and there, because as Grant said, if something I say could spark change, I'll be really happy. Just one thing I could say that could help you, I'd be so happy. But step one is just to be clearly aware of what you would like. So, and what you like to change in this case. As Grant was asking you, why do you want to be successful? When do you want to be successful? I'm asking you to get awareness on what would you like to change about yourself. So, common things that people do are they're procrastinators, they're people pleasers. They start new things, never finish them. What about you? You'd love to change. And for me, the first step in change is always awareness. This is like a light bulb moment, much like Grant had when he went to that seminar, left and came back to the office and started a new business. So bring to the surface something that you would want to change and then acknowledge it. Acknowledge it. It could be something like you see something and that distracts you. And then you don't finish what you're doing and you get distracted by another project and you never get to finish the first project. So just acknowledge what you would like to change and then decide. Action is much talk about good action, but action starts with a decision. So decision comes from the Latin word decidere, which means to cut off. When you make that decision, if you look back at your life, you can look back and say there was a point where you really knew what you wanted to do, but it took you 2 years to make that decision. And that is what action is all about, making a decision every morning, to get up and to really feed into your business the energy that you want to change. So 2009, I discovered, I made a discovery and I started teaching this particular methodology to clients all over the world and whatnot. I ended up training dentists and their businesses on how to change their mindset. Here's Jody Grove. She had a mindset which was, she was always procrastinating. She was always distracted, but she got clearly focused and she set up one of the top clinics in the UK for skin. So it's a mindset change, because that's what I help people focus on. So if you're up to the challenge, it is possible to transform your attitude and confidence. Start today in under 90 days. I'll show you the science behind it. So you're on this bootcamp right now. If you're a business owner, entrepreneur, you're established, you're a newbie, or you're just thinking about getting into business. You're on this bootcamp right now. If you're comparing your business to others, because people do that, or you never feel good enough, you get annoyed with yourself, you're sensitive to feedback, criticism, or you're doubting yourself. These are things that I've felt over the years, and no doubt a lot of people in this room have too. If you're on this bootcamp right now, you're difficult speaking up for yourself, because some people, they're not assertive. They just wish they could speak up for themselves, but it just stops them growing their business. Or perhaps you have a negative self-perception of yourself. Perhaps you don't think you're good enough or smart enough, or you're not great with technology, or not good at meeting new people. But sometimes you just need to make that change. Sometimes we have difficulty making choices and trusting ourselves, or we're overly self-critical. Maybe we're exhausted. You've tried everything to be successful in business and to be happy. Because for me, being successful has to be allied with being happy and fulfilled. Because like Grant, I know lots of people who are really successful, but they're not happy. So for me, it's success without happiness is just lacking fulfillment, and it doesn't work. Nothing seems to work. You've tried everything. So today I want to teach you to be more comfortable in your own skin. Stop doubting yourself. Be consistently confident. Be one of these business owners who unapologetically are enjoying life. You never have to apologize to enjoy life. It doesn't matter what people say. As long as you are happy, serving, growing your business, you can enjoy life. Well, I'm to attend online courses, go crazy over social media, going back to square one, because that's what we do. We can go back to square one. We try things for years and years, and we're listening to stuff over and over again, but we're not utilizing the information. As Grant was saying, we need to utilize the information. There's absolutely no point in hearing all the information and never just taking it and running with it. And again, watching endless YouTube motivational videos. It's great to be motivated, but we got to be consistent, because I always think consistency is one thing that can drive us forward to become more happy and successful. Common objections to growing and changing our mindset. Some people say I'm too old to change. I was born lacking confidence. If I change, then people won't like me. I'm too afraid to change. Why should this work? I've tried everything. Why should this work? Well, I'm a chocoholic, coffee lover. I love tennis. I love deep conversations. That's just a quick summary of me. And I want to talk to you about my journey quickly, just to say where I was. When I was in university, the first night, I was 20 years old in 88. I couldn't even come out of my room. And this is the truth. I was scared. I didn't have any social skills. There's no way I could have gone into business or been doing anything like I'm doing right now. I was scared. And up to that point, I hadn't realized that I literally had little or no social skills. I was convinced I was uninteresting, dull, and boring. These are actually my beliefs. On a scale of 1 to 10, I was a 3 out of 10 in self-confidence. Looking back, I was probably less than that. I knew that I had to change. So there's somebody watching this video today, is watching this live presentation. If you need to change, it's time to change. It really is time to upgrade your mindset and change, and you can do that. For most of my 20s and 30s, I struggled with low confidence. Over the years, I found it difficult to travel. I really found it difficult to travel. It's incredible looking back then, but I had anxiety. Making new friends, very, very difficult. Being assertive, no chance. Believing in myself, no. I couldn't go to social events. I remember dating a girl for 2 years, and she was a PhD student, and she used to go and out with the PhDs and their partners every week. I stayed at home. I just couldn't go. And the conversation I was having with myself was, who's going to want to talk to me? Things like that. So social events were a no-no. I was doubting myself, not valuing myself. Fast forward to 97, I was 29 years old then, and I started reading self-help books, because we've got to start somewhere. We have to start somewhere. So I remember passing, I don't know, it was a Waterstones or something like that, and I just popped in there. I started my journey, really, my journey to changing my mindset. By 2004, which was 7 years later, I started training as a life coach. So I started training with the British Academy of Coaches. coaching at that time. Literally spent tens of thousands of dollars on myself, training with Tony Robbins, Robin Sharma, and other world-class coaches. Now I'm comfortable in my own skin. I'm really comfortable in my own skin. I do loads of events. This is like a ladies only event called Killer Heels for business owners. Been on the BBC News, ITV. If you think about this, business is 80% mindset, 20% taking action. For me, it's like business is like building a house. Your house is going to be really shaky unless you've got that foundation under the house holding it up. And that, I believe, is your mindset. So here's what we're going to do through today. We're going to share with you the 6 biggest mistakes that separate struggling business owners from happy, successful ones. I'm going to show you the 4-step model, proven over the last 12 years that can transform your attitude in under 90 days. That same model was taken up by the UK government when I won a contract to help people become entrepreneurs, get back into the workplace, and so forth. And I'm going to teach you the one myth that taught since childhood, which has stopped you developing self-confidence. And this carries into your business, I'm afraid. But we can change that. Part 1, the 6 biggest mistakes that separate struggling business owners from happy, successful business owners. Number 1, we worry about what people think. We spend so much time worrying about what other people think. You know, and I just want to share with you. I mean, this is called the brutal Bootcamp. People don't give a shit. They really don't give a shit what you're doing because they're busy doing what they're doing. But then everybody's thinking about what other people think. Just assume that people aren't really caring because they're too concerned about their own business. So often we take so much time overthinking stuff. We don't take action. And in result, we become indecisive, we procrastinate, and we miss opportunities. Look back at your life at the times you've missed opportunities when you just overthought. Big mistake number 2, we compare our life to others. We compare life, and I was guilty of this for so long. And I mentioned it in the past on different trainings. There's one power statement I've taught in the book, which is very simple. It's a well-known statement, but it's true. Everyone is on their own journey. And if you pop down a post-it note, everyone is on their own journey. For me, that was a game changer, just learning that one truth. Absolutely, everyone is on their own journey. There's no need to compare your life to others. The more you compare your life to others, the more you're going to be off track. Tracy Hazelwood, she was guilty, so guilty of comparing life to others. When she stopped doing that, her business thrived. She owns a nail business. Big mistake number 3, the need for validation and approval. We need to be told we're right. We need to be told we're doing okay. We need this approval. And where does this come from? Why do we need validation and approval? What drives it? Love. The need to be liked. The need to be appreciated. The need to be loved. It's a deep meaning. There's a far deeper meaning to this that we can't really cover on this training. But the need for validation. If you're always needing validation, if you know somebody needs validation and approval, you know why, because it's the need, this particular need. Big mistake number 4, lack of assertiveness. That, you know, people are struggling in business. They have a lack of assertiveness. They're not really standing up for themselves. And as a result, they feel regretful. They get self-critical with themselves, feel frustrated and angry for not speaking up because they are lacking assertiveness. You're overthinking, why didn't you do or say anything? Have we ever done that? You've just wished you'd stood up for yourself. We lose, that's a misspelling. We lose, we lose business opportunities and we feel weak and pathetic inside. So assertiveness is something that really need to work on. Remember that when you stand up for yourself, when you become confident, when you work on that, you stop lacking assertiveness. Big mistake number 5, we're scared of making mistakes. You know, I made loads of mistakes in my life and will continue to make too. But the thing is, when you're scared of making mistakes, you then become scared of taking action. You become so contained in your castle. Imagine you live in a castle and that's your comfort zone. You're afraid to come out the castle. You're afraid to bring that drawbridge down, to cross the river, to look at the big world and have that adventure because you're afraid it's going to rain outside your castle. The truth is, we're all going to make mistakes. And the most successful people on the planet I've spoken to have made mistakes, continue to make mistakes, but they don't care because they know they've tried. They know they've tried. You know, you've heard about Edison, who took about 10,000 experiments to make light. And when they asked him, you know, why haven't you given up? He said, because I found 10,000 ways not to make light, but I will make it. So scared of making mistakes, and you end up avoid of opportunities which could have been good for you or your business. Big mistake number 6, don't value yourself. You don't value yourself. And 2 big things which you really need to get value in, which I personally have learned to value, is your time and your energy. Because until you value your time and energy, no one else will. No one else will value your time and energy until you get to value it. Okay, part 2 of this training. I'm teaching the 4-step model, proven over 12 years, which can transform your confidence, because you can do it. Here's me in Los Angeles teaching this training, and they went on to transform their confidence. There's so many success stories from that. We've all heard things such as, just work harder, be positive, think positive. These are not things that really will help your mindset change. We really need to look at that. The thing is, our thoughts and feelings, which are, you know, when you get up in the morning, you have thoughts, you have feelings, do influence your attitude first thing in the morning. So thinking not so confident thoughts, you feel not so confident. So if you're going into a meeting on Zoom and you're thinking, are they going to like me? Am I going to cock up my presentation? Do I know enough? Do I look okay? You're going to start feeling not so confident. And as a result, you won't show up. You need to show up as the best version of yourself. The question is, however, have you ever noticed how difficult it is to try and be positive or feel different on demand? It's quite difficult. This is the look I get when I'm completely overwhelmed. One thing to remember is thoughts lead to feelings, lead to attitude. One of the first books I ever read back in the 1990s, late 90s, was Keith Harrell's book, Attitude is Everything. And for me, attitude is so important. What is attitude? Your thoughts and feelings leading up to it. I mean, don't you love a person who's got a great attitude? You know, your work colleagues, your family member who's got a great attitude, because you want to hang around with them because they have this energy about them. They have this attitude. So the major question is, so what produces our thoughts? So I wanted to show that you have something called a blueprint. You actually have a piece of software in you I call it the emotional blueprint. And this is created when you are born, and when you're born, your parents, whoever brings you up, start to feed information in it. And then when you're older, your school teachers, your peers start to feed information into it, and social media and your experiences. And your blueprint contains all the information which causes you to think a certain way. Have you noticed there are some people who are very positive thinkers, some people are very negative thinkers, some people are very resourceful thinkers, some people who play the victim card. I need to think about, why do they think the way they do? Well, that's why, the blueprint. That's why things like, I am happy, I'm happy, don't work. I am successful, if you say it doesn't work, because there's a part of you, the subconscious mind picks this up and says, BS, bullshit, BS, you're not successful, BS, you're not happy. So saying that, those doesn't actually work, because the ego of the subconscious mind just picks up with it and tries to fight you. The question is, can I change my blueprint? Can my blueprint change? And the question is, yes, of course it can. If you remember me back in university, I couldn't come out of my room in the first night, couldn't talk to anyone, to now I talk to audiences. You can change your blueprint. You can do it. You can do it in under 90 days. You can change a certain behavior about you. 100% yes. You start here. This is how it works. Your blueprint, it produces thoughts. It's continually producing your thoughts and feelings and behaviors all day long. But this, the latter three, your thoughts, feelings, and action, behavior, this takes milliseconds. If somebody says to you, think positively, you'll feel good, be positive, you almost want to take a swipe at them because they don't know what's going on under the surface of you. So your blueprint is the place to change. That's where, if you can change that, everything else changes. The entire world changes. What's in the blueprint? Your beliefs. So I want you to think about your beliefs right now. If you just think about your beliefs, how much do I believe in myself? What do I need to believe about myself that's going to propel me forward? Next one is your emotional needs. I want you to think about what do you really need? Are you the type of person who needs certainty? Are you the type of person who loves uncertainty and adventure? Are you the type of person who wants and likes to be liked? And you really do, you feel you need that. But you look at, are you the type of person who needs connection, who needs people around them? You need to know about our emotional needs. Your fears, that's an obvious one. The judgment file. I want you to think about the judgment file, and here's a tip. In the judgment file, you've got blame, complain, judge, criticize, resentment. I want you to think about those words, and those are in the judgment file. Catch how many times you do that over the next week. To bring this into awareness, you can either use an elastic band, flick it, or you can pinch yourself every time you do it. So I want you to find out about how much you're judging yourself and others, because this all feeds into your blueprint. You can't change something unless you know what to change. And then the last one at the top, your values, which is what's important to me. What are you making important to you, which could be stopping you growing your business? What are you making, and what's important to you, which can help you drive your business, your values? All these components form what's called the blueprint. When I work with clients, that's what they've said. What? Yeah, you can change these, and you can literally change your blueprint. Start here on the left-hand side, and you can end up feeling different. It can happen in under 90 days, and that's the truth. Your blueprint can change from the top, which is my life story, I'm a failure, feelings, not taking action, to right below, where your blueprint is set up for success. And it does involve work. Everything you've ever learned involves work. Remember, when you first learned to drive, did you know how to drive? And you didn't. Your driving instructor showed you instructions on how to change your blueprint for driving. And you learned piecemeal instructions, and over time, you created a pattern in your brain which causes certain parts of your brain now to activate when you're driving. Therefore, you don't even think about driving anymore. Do you? You think about what you're having for tea that night, where you're going shopping, but you don't think about driving because it's become automated. So automaticity takes, well, I'll go into that in a second. Change your blueprint, change your attitude, you change your life, and you change your business, which is the whole point of this. Part 3, I want you to go through the one myth taught in childhood which has stopped you developing self-confidence, stopped anyone. And you may have heard of the following statements. You can't teach an old dog new tricks. Mm-hmm. It's just the way I am. You might be even saying these things to yourself. It's too late to change. A leopard can't change their spots. These are common things that we hear that do actually stop people from changing it. If there's anything like this going on under the surface for you, you need to start deleting it right now, deleting these beliefs. We may have been fed a little BS story. I mentioned BS story before. The older you get, the less you can change, but it's absolute nonsense. By the way, BS stands for belief systems, as Ben Sewell would say. Science discovered that you can change at any age. Yeah, any age. The science of neuroplasticity, which is the science of brain change. Now, I used to be an optometrist, an optician years ago. So we studied the brain. I studied the brain extensively. That's why I'm so interested in the brain. My first degree was biochemistry. That's why I'm so interested in the biochemistry of the brain. The University College of London, 2011, did a landmark study where they looked at cab drivers. You know, the knowledge exam is looked upon as one of the most difficult exams in the world, where new cab driver in London, new black cab driver, has to learn 320 basic routes, 25,000 streets, 20,000 landmarks in 3 to 4 years. It's absolutely nuts. And they do this on a moped. So they go around the streets of London for 3 to 4 years on a moped, learning all this information. It's an incredible amount of information to learn. What the researchers did, they scanned 2 groups. People like you and I on the right-hand side, regular people who are never going to be London black cab drivers. And then on the left-hand side, they scanned the trainee black cab drivers, their brains. They did these brain scans to look at the architecture of the brain, how it's working. The results stunned the scientific world, absolutely stunned the scientific world. The brain of the control group, which is you and I, showed no discernible change. The brain of the trainee black cab driver had grown significantly. When we've grown significantly, we're not talking meters or feet, but we're talking millimeters, had grown significantly to show that, basically to show that intense learning and repetition had caused a structural change in the brain called neuroplasticity. This proved that the brain can change, which means you can change. New habits cause brain change. Incredible. This was in addition to a 2009 landmark study. Now, in this 2009 landmark study by the UCL, scientists discovered that it takes on average about 66 days for a habit to become formed. 66 days, which is under the 90 days I mentioned, to form a new habit. So you can go from being not so confident in a particular area of your life to becoming confident in under 90 days. Science has shown that. Age or your past is no longer thought of as a defining factor for habit change. So there's a lot of people out there who think maybe they're too old to change. And I've heard 35-year-olds say they're too old to change, too old to start a new career, too old to start a business. That's BS. Age or your past is no longer thought. Your past does not define you. As Tony Robbins says, your past does not equal the future. It's absolutely true. Whatever's happened in the past has no relevance or bearing what you do now. It's up to you. It's that choice. And I had another study, which I haven't done any slides on. Sonny Lyubomirsky, chief psychologist at University Berkeley, California, did a study on over 2,000 twins and 2,000 individuals and found out that there are really three components. I wish I'd done some slides on this actually. Three components that can help you create change and influence change. And the first major component, what they found out was that in order to affect change and happiness, when referring to happiness, they found out that 50% of our happiness towards change and life is actually genetic. So we actually have some programming in place at the genetic level. What she found out that 10% of our happiness, especially with change, is actually the toys in our life. And what do you think I mean by toys? Now keep this clean. But what I mean by toys, I mean money. We're talking about cars, holidays, job, success. 10% of that it will influence our happiness and change. So what was the 40%? 40%. And this 40% was actually something that we can affect directly. She found out that 40% of our happiness, our success in happiness is choice of what we do every day. 40%. And for me, this was massive. It's like, wow, 40%. So it's something that's huge. The choice, what we choose to do when we wake up in the morning, what we choose to accept in our life, what we choose not to accept, that's as important. So as an extra study I throw it in there. Here's Mary. Mary came to me, and Mary had decades and decades of pain. She changed. She's gone into a career. She's gone into a business. There's her other husband. Show that you can change at any age. Here's Tina. I've worked with Tina, as my colleague over in Finland, where we've helped entrepreneurs delivering this mindset training. Tina herself changed. I'll put her in this picture in the slide because Tina herself went from being a school teacher to owning her own business, transforming her mindset, became a mind coach. I now mentor her and deliver trainings with her in Finland to entrepreneurs. The day I realized on my own blueprint had changed, because this is, remember, I went from not being able to come out of my room in university to going on and speaking to millionaire business owners. And they were looking to enhance their own mindset, to grow their own businesses. So growth, never, ever stops. You know, you could be a millionaire, billionaire, but you can still want to grow. So, you know, if you look at these people, they're still looking to grow, to have that growth mindset. By the way, I rarely wear a suit. Here's what we covered today. The biggest 6 mistakes that separates unsuccessful business owners from happy ones, to happy ones. And this 4-step model created, which you can use to now transform your mindset in under 90 days. And the one myth taught since childhood, which stopped everyone changing. What I'm hoping is someone somewhere is going to watch our trainings today and said, I've had enough. I've effing had enough. I want to change to get to that place where I am enough. Because when you're enough, your business will change. When you know you're enough, everything changes, because what happens is the roadblocks disappear. The fears that you have for approaching clients disappear. The fears that you have for going live on social media disappear, because you know you're good enough. You know you're enough. That's where we are. That's where I'm looking to get you up to. Natasha's small. Natasha was, her mindset was everywhere. It was all over the shop, and she just became enthusiastic, proactive. She changed her blueprint. I want you to take this opportunity to really decide to make that change. With all these wonderful speakers coming after me, make that change. There's an opportunity for you to grow today. Use these trainings today, grow today. Now, this sentence, I couldn't put it any better. We cannot become what we want by remaining what we are. So I implore you to think that change is good. I will always say that the number one phobia on this planet is not flying or spiders or heights. It's actually change. And sometimes we find it so difficult to change ourselves, because we're scared to change. We're scared. If you're feeling scared, it's okay. It's okay. Just think of when you get to where you would love to get. When you climb that mountain, you're climbing this mountain, you get to the top, and you look at the next mountain that you want to climb. Know that this journey you're on is fabulous. It is fabulous. It's perilous, of course, and there's loads of pitfalls. But as Graham said, it's wonderful. It is brutal, but it is wonderful, this journey you're taking. And for me, it starts from the inside out, and it can help you change who you are. Right, let's get back into stop sharing my screen. How do I stop sharing my screen? Stop presenting.
There you go. I think, there we go. I'll just put you as the main man again. There we go.
I would love if anybody out there has any questions, if they have anything they wanted to add to that.
Can you hear me okay, David? Just double check sound check.
I can, yes.
Perfect. Anybody got any questions for David?
I absolutely love it.
So we've got Theo. I don't know whether you can hear, but he's saying absolutely loves what you said there. I saw him nodding away. He dropped an F-bomb. That's how much he loved it.
I brought his book.
He's just bought your book as well. You didn't give yourself a plug, mate.
I just hope everybody's got some value, something from that. Just one thing, please.
I tell you what, I'd just like to pick up on, because the reason I put you on first was because I want to give people the confidence to know that they can change, and that scientifically, you know, it doesn't matter how old you are. If you haven't achieved what you want to achieve in life, it is never too late. Because a lot of people have this idea, there's this myth that we're thrown that when you hit the age of 25, you know, you're, or is it, some people even say the age of 7, you're fixed, you're stuck, that's where you are. And the neuroscience that you talked about fascinates me, because the brain up until the age of 25 has plasticity. They call it plasticity. And so what we feed it is what we end up becoming. And so after 25, the brain has less plasticity, which means it makes it more difficult to learn more skills. But you touched on it there, David, and you know, you'll know this as a scientist, is that when you actually focus on something with intensity and you give it a deadline, just like those taxi cabs guys do. So when they learn the knowledge, they've got a deadline, they've got to do it in a certain amount of time, and they've got to focus on it intensely. That releases 2 chemicals in the brain, one of which I can't pronounce, and the other of which is adrenaline or norepinephrine. You probably know, but what's it called? Neuroplasticity? Yeah, I can't pronounce it. I can't pronounce either of them. 2 chemicals. Those chemicals make the brain, give the brain plasticity again, exactly the same as when we are children. And that's why it doesn't matter how old you are, if you apply focus and you give it a deadline, so you have to have an end goal, that's when we talk about being in the flow. And that's why focus is so important, because in order to learn the things that are going to help us become successful, we have to give focus to them, and we've got to give them a deadline. And if we drift off, if we stop paying attention to them, that's when we cannot learn these new skills when we're older. And that's why, you know, old buggers like me and him can still learn stuff.
Question from Shirelle. Question from Shirelle in South Africa. By the way, we've got a worldwide audience here, David. The comments have been absolutely phenomenal. Thank you so much for doing this. But Shirelle's just asking, what one habit do you carry out daily to build confidence?
For me?
Yeah.
Okay. Every morning, every morning I do something. I use an acronym called GIANT. So I think of G stands for gratitude. So G stands for gratitude. So I think about what I'm grateful for right now, and that the science shows that you can't be negative whilst being positive. It's called cognitive dissonance. So gratitude, that's G. I do this as well. I'll show you what I do. So I do this, gratitude. What am I grateful for right now? I'm grateful for I'm alive, I'm free, etc. Then I say my intentions. So I say my intentions are, and this is how I work. My intentions are, I think about my big intention, which is to help 1 billion people by 2025. So I talk about my intentions, or my intentions for that day. So it could be my intentions are to have an amazing Zoom session with so-and-so, or to go for a run this morning. And then I talk about A, which is action. What actions do I need to take today to achieve what I want to achieve? Action. And then N stands for no. What am I no longer prepared to accept? So overthinking, faulty thinking, no longer able to accept time wasters, whatever. So N, that gets my mindset grounded. And T, then it can stand for me, trust the universe, like just trust, put it out there, just do it. Or tracking, which is I'm going to be tracking exactly what I'm doing today in terms of if I meditated, if I've worked out, how many hours have I worked, what have I done? So I use the GIANT acronym first thing in the morning. That's one of a couple of things I do, but yeah, I find that really super focused, and it helps me stay on track, and it helps you maintain your confidence, because if you remember, confidence comes from the Latin word confidere, to have faith and trust yourself. Hope that helps.
Awesome. That is awesome. I think we're going to have a little 5-minute break now, David. I can't thank you enough for this, buddy. Absolutely brilliant way to set us up. What you guys can now take from this is that what's coming next, the knowledge that we're going to learn from the other speakers, you can take this knowledge and you can make it work for you. Think about what David said. Think about those cabbies. That's what we've got to remember. We can make a change. We can do this, guys. It's scientific fact. It's not wishy-washy. This is not The Secret or the law of attraction or anything like that stuff. It's science. There's some science in that as well, by the way. I'm not dismissing it. But that's another seminar. David, absolute pleasure as always. We're going to take a 5-minute break, and we'll be right back here with Shirelle Casale, the legend that is, at 3:30. Thanks, guys.
He was great. attention
back in the room. Wow, what a first hour and a half this has been. Oh my God, the value of this session is just ridiculous. I mean, honestly, with David Rahman, he dropped some brutal bombs down there. We call it a brutal bomb. And we've got some more to come, guys. So we've had some liquids in, some liquids out, and great to see you all back. And I'm delighted, absolutely delighted. She made it here, 4.5 hour journey. She's here in Birmingham with us, Shirelle Casale from Empire Web. She has got an amazing business. She's started her business 4 years ago. She is a full-time professional football player as well, right? And building a residual income with financial independence, time freedom, and complete location freedom. She could work anywhere in the world. Really, really excited to announce that she's here. Grant is going to do the interview, so make notes. Please, thank you so much for your comments in the chat. Absolutely awesome. Keep asking questions, and we'll be there for you in the chat. So I'm going to hand over the mic. Do you want to come over? Good to see you. Welcome. And here we are. Thank you very much.
Thanks.
See you guys.
Buddy.
Can I pop in?
Oh, I forgot to. I've got my click. I need my clicker. Technical term. There we go. No, I did say, and welcome by the way.
No,
I
thank
did
you,
say you
thanks,
probably
everyone.
won't thank me for using,
No, the facial expression.
because that just for me says it all about your determination.
Yeah, that's right.
And I took I've also got your business in there. But welcome,
Thank
Shirelle.
you.
Absolute pleasure to have you join us today. And I was so delighted when you agreed to do this chat, because there's always been something that I wanted to talk to you about in more detail, and I've never really had the opportunity, because obviously we speak kind of weekly anyway, but it's all to do with your business, you know, and all to do with Empire and where you're going, which is just, it's awesome what you're doing with that business. But the thing that I'd like to just start with, if you'll allow me, is that I'd like to try and help people understand how such a high achiever like yourself, somebody who is, you're definitely in the maniac category. You're one of us. Okay.
Can't help it.
How somebody like you, who's now, really taken her business to the next level, how somebody gets that mindset, and I'm hoping it's got something to do with this picture.
Yeah, it has. Yeah, absolutely. And I think having the sports background definitely helps, because you do get very competitive. Even at the smallest of things, you're like, I want to win. Even if it's like cards or you're playing Snap, it's like, I've got to win. It's the smallest of little things. So yeah, I think the background I've come from definitely helps massively.
So just sort of going right back then to sort of your school days, I'm guessing you were sort of scouted, were you, in terms of the football side of things?
Yeah, so I started football really late, actually. I started when I was 12, 13. So as a kind of a woman as well, it was kind of like a really late stage. But I used to just play football with my brother in the school playground with the lads. So it was a bit of banter. But no, and then I was scouted by Arsenal when I was 14. So then I left school when I was 15 to go play for Arsenal Academy. And then when I was there for 2.5 years. And then I got scouted to play out in America, in LA.
So you went out and played in LA?
Yeah, I played out in LA for 3 years when I was 17. So.
Wow, that's a hell of an experience.
Oh, it was, yeah.
So what? So did you go out there on your own, did you? Or?
Yeah. So I was supposed to go with 4 friends. On the day, turned up because I was living in Ireland at the time.
Yeah.
I turned up at the airport and my friends haven't turned up. I'm like, 17-year-old, stood there with my mom like, what do I do? And then my mom was like, you're going. And I was like,
wow.
What? She was like, no, you're going. Your ticket's paid for. I'm not wasting the money. I was like, cheers, mum. That kind of thing. Like, thank you. Pushed me in the deep end. She goes, your host family's on the other side. They'll be waiting for you. Get on the plane and just don't look back because you regret it next year. So I was like, okay, started crying. I was like, okay, bye. Like, got on the plane, and then literally got over there, seen my host family, just stood there, and I was like, okay, let's go. And then I was fine. Didn't like my friends at the time, but we are still friends. But yeah, so it was kind of like chucked me in the deep end already because I was so young. I was 17.
Yeah.
And I'm very much a family person, so I was like, but yeah, got on the plane, had a little bit of a cry. Found out there's loads of films on there. There's battleships. I started playing battleships with people. But yeah, and then kind of got comfortable. It took me about 2 to 3 weeks. Obviously, the time difference was 8 hours behind, so I had to kind of adjust to that. And of course, the climate. In Ireland, it's raining all the time. You go to LA and it's ridiculous. I turned up in Ugg boots and a tracksuit, and it was boiling. So, but yeah.
But you look great, you know.
Yeah, I was comfy. I was cold in Ireland. But yeah, no, it was really, really good, and I really thank my mum for that all the time.
Well, isn't that interesting? Because, you know, we talked about brain plasticity, and at the age of 17, you're still forming habits there. I mean, it does strike me that, you know, being thrown in the deep end and taking such an extreme amount of action, you know, has that got anything to do with the why you keep doing that?
Yeah, literally. It took me a while. I think the last year is why our business has gone from here to here. Still nowhere near where we want to be, but it's gone higher. Is to come out of your comfort zone. It's just to get in. If you do something wrong, doesn't matter, try it again, because you know the right way then. And I think that's what I started learning when I was in America, because, you know, I was playing for a women's team. I was still really young. I was still developing my game, but it was professional. So there's a lot of things. I was training every single day, training at 6 a.m. and then training at 9 p.m. So as I'm still developing in myself as well, it was a lot. So not only have I taken to get on the airplane, I've also taken a big hit of training.
Yeah. So it's like a double whammy.
Literally, yeah. And there was full-grown women there, and I was just looking. I was like, it's inspirational for me though, because I was looking at people that I used to watch on the telly, and I used to be like, God, they're the players I want to be. So like you got Cindy LaRue, who's a massive figure. You've got Alex Morgan, who's a massive figure. So for me then, I was like, oh, like a little shy girl. But yeah, no, just to get in your deep end all the time now.
That's awesome. I mean, and yeah, putting yourself outside your comfort zone is something we talk about a lot.
Yeah.
And learning to be comfortable with being uncomfortable.
Yeah,
you know,
absolutely.
It's
key.
So I do wonder, you know, when we talk, especially with the previous, you know, what David was saying, that, you know, is this kind of experience from being a professional footballer, and obviously you went on to play international football with Ireland as well.
Yeah.
So you're right at the highest level.
Yeah.
You know, and the other, you're a striker.
Yeah, striker or on the wing.
So that's it. So goal scorer.
Yeah.
I did check out your stats actually. They were pretty impressive. How many goals did you score when you were at
Lewis? 22 goals that season.
Yeah.
And the season after that was 27.
I did see a couple of them on YouTube as well, and I thought, blimey, that's pretty impressive. So, but you know, I just look at all the different metaphors. You know, when I see you playing football, when I see you scoring goals, how close to winning a deal is scoring a goal?
The exact same.
It's exactly the same.
You get the same adrenaline. You get the same kind of like, have I got my positioning right? Am I going to hit the net? It's the exact same. And I think that's where they both come together.
Yeah.
You don't score, you're learning. You score.
And you, so in your business, obviously you've got staff now, and you know, you've got your office and whatnot. Do you still take responsibility for scoring that goal?
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. So like next week I've set them tasks of beating me of calling. So I like to get involved with them, and, you know, because I see us being like, I'm the example now. So if you lower that example,
right,
your team's not going to be maniacs. And to be where we want to be and to be where they want to be, you've all got to be maniacs. That's how I look at it.
Yeah. Couldn't have said it better. You've got to be maniacs. And so, how many people you got working for you now? The sales guys.
5 now.
5.
When we've got 5 interviews on Monday. So.
Right. Wow. So you're building that team, and you're leading from the front.
Yeah.
Leading by example.
Yeah, absolutely.
So when it comes to, again, I just keep looking at this as a metaphor, because, you know, football's a team game.
Yeah. And
so when you're building your team, do you take anything from your sports, like any of your managers or your coaches or anything like that? Is there anything you can share with us that would
Yeah, absolutely. And David touched on it there. And I think it's really key. It's positivity. Because if you do something wrong in the office and you've been really negative, it becomes that domino effect. If you all kind of in that days like, oh, it's negative, and that you hear the conversations and it's negative conversations, but they look up to you because obviously you're the boss, you know what to do. You've grown your business from something small to where you, not where you want to be, but close to. And they look at you and they are inspired by you. So for me, that's kind of like the kick to go, right, okay, I'm positive. Yeah, there's days where I'm like, right, that's a negative thought, but I'm now switching on to it and it's something I've learned the last year. It's not something I've done from the start. It's literally since the pandemic. So now if I literally feel a negative thought coming, I just snap out of it. And I think of that positive. So like today, I could have turned up here really angry because I've been stuck in traffic for like 3 hours. But I'm like, there's nothing I could do. So we just kind of turn it to a positive and be like, right, we're going to get there. And that's when we phoned you.
Yeah.
So I think it's just really making sure that when you are building a team or you're building a team now, it's just making sure that you're positive. And if you need to scream, just go out and scream.
I mean, we talked about this, and we all need to scream out again. Well, we talked about this a couple of weeks ago, didn't we? In that, in fact, there's two things that I'll take away from our sort of conversations that really stand out as a sort of, advice to somebody like Shirelle. And by the way, I didn't sort of elaborate. Shirelle's business, which as you'll see at the bottom, Empire Digital marketing agency.
Yeah.
I mean, do you want to tell people just a little bit about your business to give it some context?
Yeah, sure. So obviously we're a Blam partner. We've been with Blam since, 4 years. Yeah, since the start. Basically, we had a very bad experience before coming to Blam. And we could have literally, even then, we could have took the easy route and both go back to a salary job. But then we had a conversation with Edward and then we signed up and we haven't looked back since. So our business is purely digital marketing. So we do websites, apps, social media, SEO, PPC, and we kind of build the small to medium businesses now. And when people come to us, I say about 80% of our business now is recommendations. We've built up the brand up in Portsmouth and we've built it up now in areas of London as well. And I think it's a lot of people say to me, it's my energy. So they say, Shirelle, it's your energy that you bring to, so I sit down and they come out and like I get phone calls saying, oh, Shirelle, I just need a little kick today. And I can't even tell a joke, so I'm not even going to tell a joke, but it's just kind of giving them that positive energy that you can do anything. And that's how we've kind of built Empire. So at the start, don't get me wrong, it was hard, absolutely hard. I was sitting underneath my stairs doing like 200 to 250 calls a day. I don't think I made a sale for about 4 months from coming out of a sales role as well. That was really hard to take. So I was like, right, okay, am I doing something wrong? Am I not doing any? What more can I do? So I kind of booked in some training sessions with Edward and yourself, Grant, and we kind of built it up then. And I think to now, I look back and I'm glad it went that way, because I think if it went successful quite quickly, I don't think I'd be in the position I am now, because I probably would have stopped that and been like, well, actually, I've got clients now, I'm quite happy. But now I'm like, no, we need more. We need to, help people grow their business, and that's how we look at it.
I remember it vividly, actually, because I remember you had a couple of early wins straight away, and then you had like a drought, and you were trying to figure out. And it's such a common thing to happen. Yeah. I think you probably had a couple of businesses lined up from memory, and it was like, what do I do now? Yeah. But coming back to the positivity side of it, it's really interesting you say that about people want to speak to you. Because, we talked about this a couple of weeks ago, having that, making an effort to be super positive and making a conscious decision to not let things get to you is something that can have such a huge influence on not just your own mindset, but the people that are around you. And one of the things you always do, and I always sort of thank you for this, is that whenever you get a job that goes well, which is, of course, every single job we do. Yeah. I always get a really nice message saying, say thank you to the team, say thank you to this person and that person for doing this. And that gratitude, is part of that, positivity. 100%. I think that's something as well. It's like, for instance, going back to scoring, your manager grateful because you've come up with the 3 points and it comes from our strikers and then a goalkeeper.
the rest of the team just run around.
But making up the numbers.
But no, it just comes back to that gratitude where, again, it's something probably 2 years now I've really hit high with. Anything I do or anything that anyone else does, I really do appreciate. Like, I appreciate you guys inviting me today, because I think that's where it starts from. If you start kind of just being going, oh yeah, they'll do it again, or they'll do it again, it's kind of, you're not thanking anyone for what they've kind of given to you. Because at the end of the day, you've helped us secure clients, and these clients are happy. And that's where we've got that 80% recommendation, is because people are happy for the work we do as a team. So again, it goes back to that team role of, it's not just Shirelle Empire. It's not, it's everyone else that's included to make that job great.
Awesome. So our audience today is going to be made up of all sorts of different people that are on their entrepreneurial journey. There'll be some people that perhaps haven't started their own business. There'll be some people that are perhaps like your sales team will hopefully be watching. And they'll be getting
hopefully
some
they're calling.
Inspiration in between calls. She's brutal. And then you've got people that have been in business for years that have perhaps, lost their mojo. And I identify you as somebody who is, guaranteed success as far as I can see, because there's nothing going to stop you on your journey.
Thank you.
And what would you give the audience that's watching as advice? Where's your heart lie when it comes to speaking to that audience and saying, this is what being an entrepreneur is all about?
Yeah, I think the number one that kind of comes to my mind straight away is don't give up. Don't give up, because, and again, it goes back to David's conversation, is about any age can start. If you give up now and just go back to what you was comfortable at doing, you're only going to look back in a year's time and be like, where could I have been in that year? And I think that's the biggest regret ever anyone can make. I could have easily turned around at 17 and be like, no. And I wouldn't be where I am now with my football. I still play full-time football for Crystal Palace. I wouldn't be there now because I wouldn't have been scouted and the journey I've been on with football. So I think rule number one is 100% don't give up. If you're new to business or you're in business and you're struggling, I mean, when I went through that, it was 6 months, I went through no sales. And I could have easily went, I can go back to my sales role. But I didn't, because I knew how much I can make from my own business in my own time. And it's for me, it's not about the money. I know that sounds crazy. It's not. It's about helping people. That's where I feel my gratitude. That's when I kind of really feel happy, is when a client comes to me and says, Shirelle, you took my business from X to X. And I'm like, fantastic.
That's what it's all about.
And that's what it is all about. And once you find that, and it's only a year and a half that I found that. Because to me, I was always like, I need the cash flow, I need this, I need to do this. But it's when you actually look at yourself, and again, it goes back to David, when you actually look at yourself and you know what you want from what you want to do. Everyone wants their own business, but why? Is it the money? Is it the satisfaction of helping people? Or what is your why to help others? And then once you find that, it's uphill.
That's it.
Yeah, it's literally that. So all I say is don't give up, ride the waves. There's mentors around the world. There's people there to help you. I mean, we've got 2 mentors now because we know that it's our accountability. So if we're dropping on something, they can be like, Shirelle, Ben, what's going on? So just rule number one, don't give up.
Brilliant.
A question from the audience.
Sure.
This is Suzanne. She's all the way from New York, Rochester, New York. She's asking, she's interested to find out more about how you build your team and are they commission on it?
So no, the teams are actually paid. So 4 of the staff are actually paid. And they do have commission, but we do have 4 others, 2 at the moment and 4 potentially next week, that are commission only. So Suzanne, if you want to chat, I can absolutely help you talk about that.
Thank you.
That's okay.
We do get asked a lot about that, and there's some stuff in the pipeline with Blam to help this, because there's a lot of partners who are building teams now, and I think there's a lot of questions around, do commission only salespeople work? Is it advisable? So anybody wants to reach out to us to talk about that, we've got multiple examples of the different scenarios and how you can do it. But yeah, it's sales. The one thing I will say, a bit like yourself, anybody that's building a sales team, learn how to sell yourself first. Don't do it the other way around. because like you're saying, you're there, the leader, you're the inspiration, you're the one that's showing, and you can't tell if somebody else is doing a bad job if you don't know how to do it yourself. And sales, and I'm sure you'd agree with this, can be taught. Don't anybody, it's a brutal boot camp. Don't anybody say to me, oh yeah, but I wasn't born a natural salesman like you. Blimey, if anybody wasn't a natural salesman, it was me.
No, it is, and I think with sales as well, you do have to teach. Like yesterday, I jumped on the phone and just cold called my guys and showed them how to pitch, because if they're looking at me and going, well, she's never picked up the phone, you do lead by example in anything. So like when we build websites for our clients, the first thing I say is I'm not a website developer, because that's not what I do. It's not my expertise, but my team do that. But I will sell you something that you need for your business. So if you're showing your team by example, I guarantee you in a year's time, your team will be probably outselling you, because they've learned from, and it's not just me, it's other people. So I plug them into other really good salespeople, and then I tell them how to do it step by step. So the last 2 weeks, we were just doing sales training. And it's the same with the self-employed people. We bring them in because they do have sales expertise, but we also do training because, of course, they don't know the products. So again, you just need to lead them down that path of how to sell your products.
Right, Suzanne said thank you, and we'll get the instruction on.
Sure, perfect.
Fantastic.
Brilliant.
Absolute pleasure to talk to you. So pleased you're able to spend some time with us, and thanks all for listening. I'm going to now bring on Theo, and if we could do a really slick handover.
Thank you.
Thanks, Shirelle. Just a quick swig.
No problem, man. Yo! Hey guys. How are you doing?
Positive. The Hofmeister.
Hey.
The other one. He's in the house.
I'm good, man. I'm good. I'm good. I'm glad I'm good. And I hope everyone else is good as well.
Thanks for joining me, mate. I'm really pleased you could make this as well. I mean, we've talked a lot, we've done this sort of thing a lot over the last couple of years. And I'm really pleased that you could come and do this, because what I'm trying to show in today's boot camp is the kind of the journey, as well as
sent me the message. I was like, go, I'm on. Let's do it.
And we've talked about the sort of the mindset from David, and how anybody can apply these tools. Shirelle is showing how that early part of her career and has influenced her success now.
Definitely.
But talking about your journey, mate, you just strike me as one of those guys who's just used brute force, to break through any barriers without anything going to stop you.
Literally. I think I'm glad that you said that. And I think over last year, being very, very honest, that slumped me quite a bit through I was still working, but I slumped, and it made me reevaluate life a lot more and reflect on all the things that had happened to me previously from a young age. The reason why I love what David said today, which was amazing, it actually made me go back in time into why I am the person I am now, where before I was still blasting through walls left, right, and center like no man's business, but I didn't really focus on myself and in myself. And I think through when I've met you growing, you've probably seen me grow through the best periods, to be honest. But there's so much. I can't wait to kind of get into it now.
Well, let's just set the scene for the audience. So tell us about your business and what you do right now.
Okay, so my company is called Social. It's a marketing agency, but I've started to, it's got a few different angles now. So it's got a company called Social TV. It's an online OTT platform which creates shows. So I've got one show called Feminine Impact. We've got loads of shows with influential women talking about their experiences, talking about just literally tons. I've got another show that's coming. It's called Paragon Live. I've got influencers with millions of followers, like Alex Bowen, Ty Clark, and that's just a fitness show. Obviously, I've got Huffington Post on there, and I've got loads of different shows that are due to come on there, and I've got some other stuff that I've been working on in the background. I've been quiet about, but those are the main things that I'm full steam ahead on and pushing with my team with.
So looking at the way that you apply yourself right now, and part of the reason that I was so happy when you said you'd come along is that everything you've just discussed gives people some understanding of your work ethic, because it is extreme. There's no question of that in terms of how much effort you put into it. One of the things that we've talked about over the last 6 months is the fact that you've done 101 entrepreneurial interviews in the last 6 months. And when you first told me about that, it was during lockdown. You traipsed around finding ways to interview people. I mean, it was a tall order to get that many interviews done, with the lockdown and with the fact that you still had to do you still got to earn your money. What inspired you to take on such a massive undertaking?
I think it was just more about it comes down to my why, because I remember the last time we spoke previously about whys. That's like the massive driving force, and my why inevitably is, first things first, just being a great father. Second thing is to make sure that I can inspire people to make more money and grow as an individual. And I also want to create businesses with other people and obviously be like an investor or be a part of that company and watch them grow and give them the information that I know, because where I come from, there was none of that. So just a little bit of backstory. I'm from Wolverhampton. The upbringing and the place that I was in wasn't a great environment. It was horrible. But like my parents were super old school, like getting beatings all the time and stuff like that. Can laugh about it now, not at the time. But but like it kind of got me to a point of saying like the environment isn't what I want. Because my parents and my family and the people that I was surrounded by were hard workers. And I'd seen them work hard. All I knew was to work hard, but I knew that I didn't want to work hard in a job. I wanted to work hard in doing what my own thing was. So like there was a point where my mom literally said, Theo, you think you're a big man, like get out the house if you think that you can live life and have your own home and this, that, and the other. And she literally said, go up. And I sat there on the front step and I thought to myself, well, what am I going to do? At the age, I was 17 and I just didn't. And I was just stumped. And I was thinking to myself at that time, after crying and stuff, I was like, if I was in that position, what could I do? And then eventually my mom let me back in.
How long was that?
A very long time. It, like when at that age, I was just like, I've never been out in the real world, the big world, and it will swallow you up whole. Those are the words. And I was just like, oh, geez, what do I do? So when I got let back in, which was like ridiculous amount of hours afterwards, I decided to say, like, you know what, I'm going to get a job. And I went to Manchester, I got on a train.
Nice.
With a bit of change in my pocket. And I said, I'm never going to look back, like literally not going to turn back. And I'm not going to ask for help. I'm just going to go and do it. And when I went there, bear in mind, I had nowhere to stay. I slept rough for 2 weeks.
Oh, you're kidding me.
I did find a job before I left, which was a sales job. And when I got into that sales job, I had a mentor and his name was called Pete. And he gave me the book, Think and Grow Rich.
Oh, legend, Pete. I love Pete already.
At that point, I was just like, what am I doing? But those 2 weeks of sleeping rough, I was happy. And to me, I looked at it as an adventure. And I know that I just had enough of being at home and being in an environment that I didn't want to be in. And that made me say, you know what, when I was getting these sales and learning about sales and learning how like money exists and stuff like that, I was like, yeah, I'm never going back. And then eventually I started to make more money and then I found more opportunities. There was another reason why I went there. There was a company called The Gate Films, which I worked for. And I don't want to say like the secret, but it's kind of like the secret.
You were attracted to them.
Yeah, there's a guy
mysteriously
called Louis Durant. He's the owner of that company and he makes serious films, like films that you see in Hollywood. I did a Tresemme advert and stuff like that through him. And then when I knocked on the door, I was like, what's your name? I'm here selling gas and electric. I'm like, yeah, I'm from Empower. My name's Theo. Just wanted to see this, that, and the other about your meter. And he's like, oh, my name's Blue Durand. I was like, okay, yeah, I can park this for a second. Blue Durand. And then I asked him, is it like, do you own like the gate films? He's like, yeah. I was like, you know what? Is it possible to get your card and I'll call you and I'll come and do anything for you? And then at that point, he just said, yeah. I quit my job straight away. I'm not even gonna lie. And the next day I turned up at the office and I said, like, I've been wanting to get into film. And that's when I started to do film with him. I did some stuff with Tresemme, Santander. And I got paid like $2,000 for like 2-3 days worth of work. And then at that point, I found value. So then from there, that will gave me momentum.
I've never heard that story, mate. And that is just so inspiring.
Literally, I think there's so much that I've just held back and I've not said.
Yeah.
I've said a few times to a few people, it's like, fucking hell. Like,
you slept rough for like 2 weeks?
Yeah, and all the beatings before it, mate.
Oh my God! Well, that's what shapes the man, isn't it? You know, that kind of experience, because it's probably not going to get much worse than that, is it?
Literally, to be honest, I'm so grateful for it. I'm grateful for everything, all the beatings, the traveling, the no's at the doors, to just everything, because that's what shaped me, and also what my family's done as well. But understanding that in your mind, you have weeds and you've got flowers, and the flowers are the positive things, the things that shape you to be better. And then you've got the weeds that constantly grow, that people throw at you all the time, like, oh, you're not good at this, and you're not good at that. And those things can settle in you for a very, 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 very long time. So I think throughout this COVID period, I've been able to dig out these weeds and really just say, Theo, you're more than valuable. You're more than like grateful. You are rich in spirit and in finance and all of these things. Like, so I know I have, and people say it, but I discredited what a lot of people have said.
Yeah.
So that's why you've probably seen a lot of content come from me recently.
Unbelievable,
and
mate.
like
the
now
work
it's
ethic's
just
off
like,
the charts.
Let's go.
Yeah. And you've built a beautiful studio now for all your interviews.
Yeah.
You know, your profile's looking amazing.
Yeah.
There's just no question in my mind where you're heading. I just can't wait to see, you know, how that grows.
Yeah.
You know, and the, you know, the whole thing about that journey, about the way that, you know, you've got a story to tell that has formed, you know, your impression of who you are now. But the one thing, again, I'm thinking of the audience, thinking of the people that are on this journey. There's other people that will be watching this that have had, you know, stories that will inspire them. But, you know, even in the time that we've been, you know, working together and catching up, there've been ups and downs. It's not all, you know, it's not all a straight road to success, regardless.
1000%.
And that relentless attitude that you have is something that I'd like to find out more about, because so many people in your position do give up and would have given up because you were on your own. You know, you had a business partner, that relationship, you went your separate ways, and then you were on your own
instantly,
and it was make or break.
100%. And the thing is, within that moment, I realized there's a lot of things that David said that I realized before, but like he just cemented it even more, is when you're looking for validation from exterior sources, not taking the action when you're supposed to be taking that action. There is tons of things, all of those negative weeds that you need to kind of decipher. And you just need to say, like, listen, that's not me anymore. What you need to do is literally focus on, like, to me, it's cringy as hell when people say self-love and all of this and that and the other. I'm like, nah, it's not, but it is. Like, you have to love yourself first, because if your cup is full, you can then give to other people. And what I was doing was allowing everyone else to make the decisions for me and me not being a leader. But once I became that leader role, people were like, that's the Theo that we need. Yeah. And then when it comes to being in, like, doing sales and getting into those doors and into those meetings, into them rooms, people are like, it's Theo that we need. Like, that's it. Like, the people are already so more or less before they even see me in the room, like. But like, once again, it's like you mentioned the energy that you have, and it's a massive part of like you being successful, and you've got to know that in yourself. When you know yourself, you can then grow. And I think one of the things that I think that's helped me grow a lot more is me going to the gym. Because when I go into the gym now recently, I'm not looking at it as I'm going to look good to impress others. It's like I am beating Theo from yesterday. Yesterday's Theo no longer exists, and he's obliterated. And like the new Theo is going to come in and smash it. Doesn't matter what comes his way, he's going to kill it. Because at the end of the day, I've got my why. I know what my goal is. I know that I need to be there for my kids. I know that I need to give them the upbringing that they need. I know that I need to help these entrepreneurs make more money, be more confident in front of the camera, behind the camera. I need to make sure that I can make this why. And if I can't, then I have no purpose. And that's it. That's how I look at it. It's all or nothing. Like, I do not exist or I exist. And I'd rather choose that I exist. And I try as hard as I can for other people to come in and make more money and be the best person that they can be. Otherwise, there's no point me being here.
A question from the audience.
Brilliant.
Shelley from South Africa. By the way, Theo, it's like a war zone out there. You're dropping brutal bombs everywhere. Shelley's question is, what is the very one thing you believe has inspired you to keep going through all the challenges?
Okay, so this is a bit deep. At the time of breaking from that company, I was driving back and forth like crazy, work, as you do, like a maniac. And at that time, I had a little girl, and the business that I was working with just wasn't functioning at all. It was just a mess. And I was driving on the M6 and I was going towards Birmingham, and I was like, it's either I make this choice that I stay on this earth or I don't. But then I know that I've got responsibilities, and that responsibility are my children. So it's either I make it work or don't make it work. So I've just got to make it work. It's just simple. And it's when you make decisions to cut off and make it happen, take action, that's when you know that you're making one step forward. Yes, it sometimes doesn't feel great, but you got to just push through and make it happen. And then that's just it. It's the why. If you do not have that why, and it's not strong enough to push forward, then you need to find a why that's strong enough.
That's really powerful, mate. It's really powerful.
Theo!
Yeah, well, yeah.
I'll give myself a pat on the back now, literally, honestly. But you've got to get this right. If you don't have that right, it's game over. It really is.
I think it's if you don't mind me saying, you've had some dark times. You know, when you've and I remember speaking to you, and it's tough being an entrepreneur. It's brutal.
I fucking love it though. I ain't
Oh,
gonna
it's
lie.
brilliant. It's brilliant.
Absolutely.
But
love it, mate.
it's tough.
I'd start over again.
Oh.
I would. I really would. I swear to God, like the amount of information that is just there and that you learn is crazy. And I don't understand why people wouldn't want to learn that. Because if we had more people being their best selves, the world would be an amazing place.
No, you're absolutely right. And that's what being an entrepreneur is all about. It's trying to be your best self.
110%.
So I just want to finish off because something's come to mind. I remember when I think we first met we've been in this office twice now. We first met. It must have been 4 years ago.
Yeah.
It was about 4 years ago. I remember the first time we met.
Just want to say that these guys have been a massive column in my whole journey, literally, the conversations, even where I felt like I've bugged you, I've just been like, yeah, man, I need to be around that energy, because if you're not around that energy, it's just, you're lost, man.
Yeah.
You become very lost. So I appreciate you guys. Thank you.
I do recall, when Ed and I caught up with you and started talking to you about getting on the phone and cold calling. Now, this, Theo's one of those guys where, when you tell him how to do something and you show, you give him some advice about it, he goes to the extreme. Ed's a maniac, and he showed you the way.
Mm-hmm.
But
it's all or nothing, man.
Oh my God, you went for it, didn't you?
Yeah, man. Had to.
Yeah, well, this is it. And cold calling is one of those things that we say, I love cold calling, not because it's necessarily the quickest way to be rich or anything else. It builds business muscles.
It does. It really does.
And it builds habits. It builds the confidence. It makes you talk about your business. There's so much stuff. And by the way, you'll get results as well. I remember you smashing the phones. Unbelievable.
Mate. It was a struggle to begin with. It was a struggle.
You've got to compete with this guy, you said.
I know, literally. And I'd come in and I'd see, like, yeah, I've got a call in this time. I was like, fuck. I need to get on the calls. Because if you don't make the calls, you don't make the networking events, you ain't going to make no money. And at the end of the day, it needs to be sustainable. You've got to put food on the table. And if you want to get to that purpose, you want to live a great life, you want a car, Lamborghinis, all them things, it takes money. So, and just do it. And if you've got some people are scared of money as well. They're just like, the root of all evil and all this, that, and the other. Mate, who's going to pay your bills? Like, who's paying the rent? Like, who's paying the gas and electric? Who's putting the food on like, you've got to get that. So if you think it's evil, mate, I wonder what you're eating.
Because we're going a bit over it, but we're only eating into my presentation, so we'll leave that. We don't worry about that. But I'll tell you one of the things. One thing I want to sort of talk to you about as well, because this is close to my heart. You're a social media guy, yeah. And you know inside out, and the amount of content that you're putting out there is massive. But recently, I saw one of your posts the other day. You get a bit of kickback sometimes. Yeah. Particularly like from people back from the old days and all that sort of stuff. How do you process that? So we're talking about haters. We're talking about,
I'm right now, like I'm such in a happy moment and like in myself, I've come to realize, that I'm not like everyone else and everyone else is different, but everyone has their own insecurities as well. I am definitely not insecure with myself anymore. But like when people that leave those messages, they're insecure. So I feel sorry for them that they feel insecure. And that's how I see it now. Like, I'm sorry that you're unable to change your mindset in order to be better and have more. And if you can't, I want to be around more of that. Like, if you can have more and be better, I want to be your best friend. But if you're not on that wavelength, I'm just genuinely sorry for you. Like, I'm sorry that you don't have the information or knowledge of the people around you to change that mindset. But sometimes it takes people to hit rock bottom in order to bounce and then go up in it. So I don't know where everyone else is within their life, but sometimes it's the hardest things that make people turn around. And then some people don't as well. That's why you have people that probably stay on the street and do drugs for like their whole life. But it's just a matter of like when do you want to bounce? Sometimes it's your tolerance in life, innit? Like that's it.
I'm really glad you said that, because it's a common trait that I notice in super successful people is the tolerance. Is the way that you can look at the haters and have empathy. Not necessarily feel, because it's tough when you get shit on. These days, being an entrepreneur, quite often you have to put yourself out there. You put yourself out there more than most. And that means that you're gonna. Well, if you're doing a good job, you're going to get people criticize you. And that is when it really comes down to all this stuff that we learn, all this stuff that we talk about. Is it real? Because when you can take that, you're solid then. You know that you've done the work. It's when you start reacting and you let that negativity creep in. Those weeds that you talked about, great analogy, that one. I'm going to be nicking that.
I've got a few more. I literally today last night I was writing down loads and literally I've gone off all of that, but I've just used bits. But yeah, it's empathy as well. I just want to say that it's because like when you're with people, like when I get into a room and I'm around people and I see them, I'm like, I hope everyone is actually fine there. because if like that is the thing for me, because if I know that you're okay and you're fine, then you've got time to like grow and become and develop and be more. But if you do not have that, and they're coming at you with negative, it's just like, I am genuinely sorry for you.
Yeah.
And that's how I leave it, to be honest.
And that you will find, guys, super successful people think like that, you know. And I think there's a perception that super successful people, and I blame Alan Sugar, are all aggressive and negative and sort of, you know, you're fired and all that.
Yeah.
That is not my experience.
It's not.
It's not my experience.
It's not. It's positive. Positive breeds positivity.
Yeah.
So like the more that you put out there, the more you're gonna get back. It's activity. Like a video that I did recently was like, I'm from Wolverhampton, but that's got very small opportunities. I come to Birmingham, there's bigger opportunities. I go to Manchester, there's bigger opportunities and activity. You go to London, bigger opportunities and activity. You go to San Diego,
which we are, baby.
And you got bigger opportunities because
we booked our tickets.
Yeah.
18 months ago.
Ages ago. I'm super excited, mate.
Yeah,
literally, the videos,
fingers
the content,
crossed.
I'm going to go there and just plow them with content. And
won't know
everyone's going to be
happening.
like, I need to be freaking working with him.
Mate, you're an absolute legend. Really appreciate your time.
I appreciate
everybody.
your time.
Theo Hoffman. Well, there we go, guys. How do I follow that? So I just got to take a quick swig, guys. We are roughly just under half an hour away from having a chat with Mr. Jojo Dinta. He's going to be dialing in, and we're going to get him live like we did with David. But he is on the road, so we might not get video, but we'll see how he's doing. Kobe's going to tell me off in a minute. Get in the right spot. Now, again, I just want to take this opportunity to say, if you want to ask a question of Jojo, this guy has got 47 businesses, I think he had last count. A cumulative turnover of 23 billion last year. He did send me a text correcting me because I did originally say 25 billion. 2 billion out, who's counting, you know? And he's got businesses in all sorts of different areas. But to give you a little bit of a preemptive to the conversation and to help you think of the questions that you'd like to ask. When I first met Jojo, it was actually Theo that introduced me to him, believe it or not. Theo was working with him, and Theo said, you need a website, you got to speak to this guy. So we were, where we are right now, guys, we're on the 21st floor, and opposite is the Hyatt. And they were, Theo was actually having a meeting with him at the time. And I went and met him in his suite. So he got like the top floor of the Hyatt, which is the top hotel in Birmingham. There's like grand piano. It's just amazing, isn't it? You know, and this guy's like, you know, the real deal. And you know, that meeting, I'll never forget it because Jojo's got such a sort of, he's direct, but he's extremely polite, and he's just got a lovely way about him. You've probably seen, you know, interviews with him, but he's quite under the radar, and this is something that's quite it's quite common with super successful people. He's not sort of demanding, you know, anybody, you know, respect him or look at him. He's just got a very nice way about him. And the businesses that he's got, and as he said to me when I first met him, he says he called himself a glorified salesman. Absolute music to my ears. Because I bang on about this all the time, guys. If you're in business, you are in sales. And he said, I'm a glorified salesman. He says, well, all I really am is like a milkman between third world countries and first world countries. I'm kind of like the broker, the go-between for oil and commodities and precious metals and all of that kind of stuff. And so he deals with huge amounts of money because the natural resources that he, you know, is the broker for are between governments. So it's kind of like the biggest transactions that take place. And yet he's just the most pleasant and accessible guy. but he runs his diary and his business like an absolute machine. And so, you know, the schedule that he's got us on today, you know, if we turn up a bit late, I'm in trouble. Okay, so we've got to be on the dot. So my presentation that we're about to do may get cut short. So I'm gonna battle through it, but I can't wait to meet Jojo, guys. So just put anything you wanna ask him, put it in the chat. Anybody in the room has got a question, you could even ask him yourself. That's great. Just put your hand up. But I'm thinking it's an absolute honor for him to give us this opportunity, because his goal is to help entrepreneurs. He wants to help 1 billion entrepreneurs. That's his goal around the world, and he just wants to give back. You know, that's his message, and he's got some really, really brilliant takeaways. And I won't spoil it anymore. We'll do that on the chat. But for now, I want to talk about this, and this is something that I've been working on for a while now. I guarantee there's going to be loads of spelling mistakes in this next presentation. Because again, you know, entrepreneur, dyslexic, you know, I can't tell. Nobody's checked it. This is all my work, because this is a work in progress for me, because I want to build a full encyclopedia of success. Because like I said right at the beginning, success is not, you know, the same for each one of us. We're all different, but there are commonalities. It's just that the formula, the recipe changes depending on who you are. So I want to put together this dictionary of success, which eventually will be, I was thinking about an almanac. Does that sound any good? Do once a year, update it. This dictionary is all the different ways, and I'm going to run through it. Now this is going to be a brutal thing to listen to. Within this next section, there are going to be certain things that you can take away. I am really hopeful that this is where you're going to find that spark that I talked about. So I'm going to spend a little bit of time on each one of these definitions, which is a success trait that I've observed in one of the super successful people that I've studied. And each one means something very particular to me. And each one of these is something that I am aiming towards myself. It's something that I'm working on myself. Now, I guarantee this, guys, you will not be able to implement every single one of these things. That's going to be tough. But a certain amount of these things will definitely get you further on your journey. Okay? And I'm going to run through that now. So just bear with me. Now, I've done it alphabetically. I couldn't, you know, I just couldn't do it in an order. You know, it's so difficult to put it in order. So I thought, you know what? Dictionary, I could do it alphabetically. So let's get cracking. So I'm just going to do a time check, because I'm hoping I'm going to get through these. Act like you are already successful. Okay. Now, you've heard of fake it before you make it. Do you know what, guys? We've talked about the definition of success. I don't know about you guys, but I already feel immensely successful. You know, my bank account may not compare to Jojo's. Okay. But you know what? I'm loving life. Life is awesome. I feel successful. Act like it. Okay. Act like it. Affirmations. I love this one. Now, this one, I do want to spend a little bit of time on this, because I've had lots of conversations about affirmations where people will go, oh, it's a bit wishy-washy, it doesn't work, all that kind of stuff. Dan Pena was the one that really, Matt knows this, one of his favorites. He's an absolute legend, foul-mouthed old man, but awesome, absolutely awesome guy. Honestly, he's a legend, isn't he? He's an absolute legend. I went to see him in London, and he told me he does his affirmations every day. So these are your goals, what you want to achieve in life, written down and repeated every single day. Abby's sick to death of mine. Yeah. She hears them.
On audio every morning, not just me, the entire family.
Yeah,
no.
And whoever's walking past outside. Yeah, so I got the window open.
You say what, I'm talking to yourself.
Yeah, it's just I've got you doing it now as well. So affirmations, guys, this is key. Okay, you've got to be brave. We just heard Theo's story. We've heard a Shirelle story. I mean, blimey, Shirelle, how brave were you at 17 years old to get on that plane?
She was scared of her mum.
That's it, yeah. That's it, yeah, Theo. I'm not sure how brave you were, mate. It sounds like you needed to leg it. But you got to be brave, guys. There you go. Keep going. It's about, you know, all entrepreneurs take risks, and to take risks, you've got to be brave. Confidence. Now, this is one of those, it's easier said than done, being confident. David Rahman, he's got some fantastic material about confidence. I really urge you, because it takes a lot of confidence to pick up the phone and make cold calls. It takes a lot of confidence to set up in business in the first place. It takes so much confidence to make those calls that can be really difficult. I can think back in the past, my entrepreneurial journey, some of the phone calls I've had to make, some of the meetings that I've had to have. If you haven't got the confidence to do it, you will not follow through, and it can hold you back. If you haven't got confidence, procrastination will eat you alive. It really will. So confidence is an absolute whopper. Creativity. Now, I see this in so many entrepreneurs. Some people may think that they're not creative and they're not creative enough to be an entrepreneur. I've seen people that, you know, you would never assume are creative, be inspired by just having the right idea at the right time and actually creating the right environment to be creative. Creativity is massive, a massive part of entrepreneurship. Deadlines. Yeah, we're going through the alphabet. I like this. I like the alphabet thing. It's good. Deadlines. Now, everybody that I speak to who's entrepreneurial uses deadlines. With some of the stuff that I've been really getting into recently to do with the neuroplasticity of the brain, deadlines is a massively important part of how we form habits. Scientifically, this was like just music to my ears when I found this out. That the chemicals in your brain are activated when you are given a sense of urgency. And this goes right back to, you know, what the croc brain, you know, nature has built us this way for a reason, so that we get stuff done, you know, when we need to. And historically, you know, when back in the sort of when we're cavemen, it's so that we can, you know, avoid, you know, starving to death or, you know, or not doing something, you know, to keep our families alive. That's why it's in there. We've got to use this to make it work for us. Diary management. Sounds like a really basic one, this, doesn't it? You have got to run your diary like an absolute beast. If I run over today, if I phone Jojo a minute later than quarter, he's going to be fed up with me. I know he is. I once had a phone call with Jojo and he scheduled it for 2:42. That is what I am talking about. And he picked up the phone immediately. This is the way you've got to run your diary. So what do they say is the worst thing you can look at? Ed, you say this one, mate. Blank spaces in your diary. That is the worst thing you can look at. Diary management, absolutely key. Do it now. Take action. Beat procrastination. Do it now is something that I've been using recently, actually. It used to be just do it. Well, you know Dan Peña's version of it. Just effing do it is the way he talks about it. But do it now is from the Napoleon Hill book that I've been reading, that Ed got us all to read as part of Sublime Partners, which is all about PMA, positive mental attitude. So this goes back decades. Do it now. Don't overthink. Just do it now. This is what you've got to do after this presentation today, guys. Just go and do it. We'll be having pizza and beer. You've got to go and do it. You've got to go and do it. Do it now. Do it now. Okay. Driving force. So often, and this is just not necessarily something you can necessarily imply, but understand this. Often there is a driving force behind the motivation that we get stuff done. Now we can artificially use this notion if we've got a deadline. Now, for example, this presentation has been finished in the nick of time because I had a driving force to get it done. Because if this presentation wasn't finished, you know, that's gonna be the worst thing. I had a deadline, I had a driving force. There are things in our lives that actually are driving forces, like, you know, wanting to provide things better for our family. We might want to, get out of the area that we're living in and move to a different area. It might be that your boss is giving you deadlines, or that you just want to so desperately be an entrepreneur. That is your driving force. But know that a driving force is a key indicator to actually getting stuff done. And the last one, do it now. Use tools to create driving force. I call it setting traps. Educate. You've got to educate yourself. You've got to constantly educate yourself. You're doing that right now, hopefully. Hopefully this is part of your education. You've got to understand, we never stop learning, ever. We've always got to be adding to our knowledge, because that's what keeps us open to ideas. That's what creates the creativity. That's what gets us to take action. We've got to use diary management to put in the times that we are actually going to be educating ourselves. Really, really key. Environment. Love this one. I'm in an environment right now that I absolutely love. These, our offices that we're in right now, this is the conference room at the office, makes me feel good. It's wonderful views. It's beautiful environment. It's a fantastic place to be. We've got breakout rooms. We've got the offices. We've got the team here. This environment makes me get stuff done. I've got an environment at home where my work office, where I've got it exactly how I want it. The reason I do this is because I know from watching super successful people that when they get their environment right, it makes them get on with more work. It makes the creativity flow, and it makes you feel this is difficult. It's been really difficult in lockdown, this one. We've got the kids running around. You might not have the luxury of an office space. Matt, you know this one. Environment's one you've been talking about for a lot. He's really desperate to get a new office now. Environment is so key. Acknowledge that. Get it sorted. Okay, now this is an observation. This is an observation. Lots of entrepreneurs have a strong faith, be that religious or just be it faith in themselves, faith in what they're going to do. But a lot of them have strong faith. When we speak to Jojo, he does a lot of praying. He talks about God a lot. Now, when you look at the science of it, and now is not the time to get into the detail of this, but having that higher power that you believe in, that you have faith in, that gives you confidence, it can help you in a lot of ways as being an entrepreneur. So having faith, it's something I've observed a lot of super successful people have. Fitness. There we go. You watch Theo's Instagram, you watch his stories. This guy's on a fitness mission, and so often fitness. I mean, Matt, you and I were talking the other day. Yeah. You're back in the gym like a beast.
Yeah, definitely.
When we're entrepreneurs, sometimes our brain messes with us. We think, I'm in the gym. Is that wasting time? Should I be working? It's a commonality of the people that are successful. And I'm talking about success from the whole. There are super wealthy people who are really out of shape. They're not successful until they have got their mind and body sorted. Jojo, I talk about this a lot. He's always, I speak to the other day, I was saying, you sound a bit out of breath, mate. What are you doing? He said, I'm just doing the plank while I'm talking to you. So focus, segmentation. So focus. This is the other ingredient that makes the plasticity in our brain get ourselves into these new forms of learning, these new habits. But being able to segment is so key. As entrepreneurs, we've got loads of stuff going on. Some of us have got multiple businesses. Look at Jojo, he's got 47 businesses, I think, last count. Might be more than that now. How the hell can he focus when you've got that many businesses? You've got to segment. You've got to be able to focus 100% on one thing. That's now we know with the science is what is going to create the habit, and it's what's going to make. It's the one part of the thing that makes your brain elastic enough, or plasticity of the brain, to actually get you to form that habit. Focus and a deadline. Give. So many. I mean, both the speakers that we've just had on talked about that their main driver is giving back, is helping other people. There is nothing better than giving back. It just makes you feel good, and feeling good is part of happiness. It gives me enormous pleasure to share this with you now, because I know it has value, and that makes me happy. Giving is a massive part of being a successful entrepreneur. I see it over and over again. And the more successful people get, the more they tend to give. Don't, at this point, make the mistake of giving too much of yourself when you're on the journey. Because if you put as much effort as you can into getting to that point of success, you'll have more than enough money and time and energy to give back. There is a balance. I've definitely observed that. But you do have to give back, guys. You do have to give back. Goals. Shirelle knows this one. Hey, I got to have goals. You've got to have goals. So you've got to define your goals. Making your goals absolutely clear and crystal is fundamental. It's everything about what entrepreneurs, about the super successful do. It's another part of this, a deadline with focus is all about goals. I've started the habit now of being really, really religious about my goals in terms of the way that I measure them every year. I did a little broadcast on it to Bland Partners that are watching on Wednesday. If you get a chance to watch that one, hit one of my big goals this year already, and it feels awesome. Straight away, it's the next goal. What is the next goal? Set goals, guys. Good is good enough. I'll never forget the first time I heard this, meeting with a guy called Nigel Bottrell. Some of you may have heard of him. Look him up. Great guy, runs a company called the Entrepreneurs Circle. And I had a meeting with him years ago. And he said to me, good is good enough. And at the time, it didn't quite hit home, because that doesn't, when you're running your own business, it's your baby. You want perfection. You want everything to be perfect. But oh my God, I can see the sense in this so much now, because when you aim for perfection, you're never going to get there. You're never going to get there. And it was as a result of good is good enough that I created my own little mantra, that perfection is the enemy of speed. It really is. And guess what, guys? Money loves speed. Money loves speed. And it's okay to say that, guys, because we're in business. We do need to earn money. Gratitude. An attitude of gratitude. This one is a massive one for me, because David was saying giant? First thing on the list, gratitude. Feeling grateful for what we've got. Isn't life freaking awesome? We're talking about the brutal boot camp here, but do you know what? There's brutality that you need to know about, but the gratitude for the plus side is immense, and it far outweighs any of the negative. Gurus. Who are your gurus? Who is it that you look up to? I've mentioned Dan Pena, one of my heroes. Grant Cardone, absolutely love him. I'm sure you've got your own. We're a few Grant Cardone fans in this room. We absolutely love that guy. So full of energy. But who are your gurus? I'm talking business gurus or inspirational gurus. There's more than just business about success. Help. Sometimes you need to ask for help, guys. And you need to reach out and ask for help. How many times have I seen it where entrepreneurs have actually found themselves in a real hole because they didn't ask for help, because they were worried about what people thought of them? If you are struggling, I guarantee other entrepreneurs will overwhelm you with their help. Inspiration, epiphany. Every now and again, you have that moment, that spark. It'd be fantastic if I could hear from anybody that's had that from this session today, because sometimes it just hits us like an absolute smack in the face. Oh my God, I've got to go and do that now. That eureka moment. I don't think there's any entrepreneur that can't tell you about that little moment, that little story. Inspirational dissatisfaction. This is a lot to do with the positive mental attitude. Great book, by the way. And they talk about the fact that if you can find inspiration when you're not hitting your goals, when you're not doing what you need to do, if you can get that mindset, you can't fail. Inspirational dissatisfaction. Keep it simple, stupid. I have to use this one all the time because I'm pretty stupid. I got to keep it simple. I will overcomplicate it. Just give me the opportunity. I'll overcomplicate it. Keep it simple, stupid. know yourself. We do have to do personal development. You've got to work on yourself. So there's plenty of psychometric tests out there. Ask your friends. What David told me to do the other day. He said, write to your friends and get them to tell you 5 things that they don't like about you. I think it was. It was quite a scary thing. You've got to have a lot of confidence to do it. It was actually awesome. Know yourself. Learn to sell. If you're in business, you're in sales. Learn to sell. If you don't agree with that one, you're not an entrepreneur. It's brutal, guys. Do you know what? I remember my accountant, when I moved accountants, I went to him, I said to him, Neil, I'm going to move to another accountant. I need a change. Nothing personal, but just tell me, mate, why over the last 15 years that I've worked with you, do you think I haven't had more success? He said, I just think it's bad luck, mate. I just think it's unlucky. Because I'm striving to be like Jojo. I'm not there yet. He reckoned it was luck. He couldn't see any other reason. I do work like a maniac. But there is something to be with luck. But as my old man always said, you make your own luck, and the harder you work, the luckier you get. There you go. That's one from Matt. Come on. Mastermind. Speak to other people that are also entrepreneurs. That is the mastermind. Read, Think and Grow Rich. I'm going to have to speed up because Jojo's coming through. Measure everything. This is a big one, guys. How do you know if you're getting close to your destination if you're not measuring it? Meditation, guys. Meditation, I'll tell you, there's loads of entrepreneurs that swear by it. It's not just sitting with your legs crossed. There are more subtle ways of meditating, hyper concentration. Get yourselves a mentor, like Shirelle said. A mentor is absolutely key. Somebody who's done it before you. Your mindset, basically just consume everything that David Rahman gives you. Simple, job done. Money focus. Jojo taught me this one. He's absolutely got no qualms whatsoever about saying that he is obsessed with money. That's why he's a billionaire. Morning routine. Another one, Jojo, I'll tell you about. He's got me having a cold shower every bloody day. It did take about 66 days, actually. It is now a habit. Morning routine. Motivation. Find the people that are going to motivate you. Find a way of motivating yourself. Music. Another one from David Rahman. Have your playlist that uplifts you. MRR. Monthly recurring revenue. Give me a whoop. That's what you need coming into your bank account. Make money while you sleep.
Kitchen.
Other people's money. Entrepreneurs use other people's money to grow their business. Overthinking. Don't do it. Don't overthink things. Just freaking do it. Don't think about it. Just do it. Okay. Partner. This is your partner in life and in business and in whatever. Share your hopes, dreams, your business with those guys. People around you are really important. You are the average of the 5 people you spend most time with. Positive mental attitude. Jojo's coming. I'm scared. Reading. Yeah, read. Responsibility. Take responsibility for everything. So you're going to have to make sacrifices if you're going to be successful. Set traps. Systems and processes. Think big. Time space for yourself, for thought. Tools to create habits. Visualization. Work like a maniac, not work hard. Work smart. You are your business. Here he is. Woo! 30 seconds late. There we go. How you doing, buddy? Oh, I might as well just leave that on, mightn't I? Are you on? Can you hear me?
Yes, can you hear me?
I can. Fantastic for you to join us, mate. Absolutely delighted. We are live in the room, exactly opposite the suite where we first met at the Hyatt on the 21st floor. So you're in the UK at the moment, I take it?
Yes, I'm in Surrey in the UK. I'm trying to fly out to, I've still been flying, even during the pandemic. That doesn't stop me. Because business never stops just because of a silly little virus. So, you've got to keep going. You just got to keep going. So how many guys you got on this conference?
I've got to be honest, I've got no idea because I've been about 60 people watching.
Wow. Are they all in the UK or are they all over the world?
Yeah, from all over the world, multiple different platforms. Is the sound all right, Kobe? Yeah, we're all good. Brilliant. Sorry, as you know, Jojo, I've been a bit hypersensitive about getting the technicalities right, but we're all good. We've got people all over the world. I've asked people to ask you questions, so if you'll allow, I'll just give people a little introduction. In fact, it'd be great for you just to let people know what do you do.
So first of all, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good night, wherever you guys are. I thank you for being on this course with Grant. You could have been anywhere in the world, but it's good that you're listening to Grant and his team. So my name is Jojo Dinta. I'm the chairman and CEO of Athlone Group. And Athlone Group is a $23 billion organization, which I started, back in sort of 2000, 2001. And my idea was, I'll be honest with you, was I just wanted to make lots of money because I enjoy money and I still enjoy making money now, whether it's £1 or £1 billion, all the same to me. But Athlone Group is a 48 company business ranging from technology, media, telco, real estate, crypto, oil and gas being their core business, just to name a few. And I sit at the top of the tree. And you know, I just say to people is, you know, to stay focused and focus on the outcome, not the process. And I think we worry as human beings, not what we can't do, is what we can do. I think the only thing stopping you from doing what you're doing in your dreams are literally the thing between your ears. And bearing in mind, my mum and dad came from India back in 59 and 64 respectively. And my dad earned, wait for it, the most he ever earned in a week was £140 a week. And that was feeding, you know, 8 members of his family, including myself, and I'm the youngest. So nothing's impossible. The only thing that stops you from doing it is that thing between your ears. And if you say you're going to do something, you know, the brain is not designed to make you happy, it's designed to make you survive. So, you know, that's who I am, and that's what I carry on doing.
And I have to say, Jojo, you've been a sort of huge inspiration and motivator to me because, you know, whenever we, you know, interact, I'm always sort of in awe, really, of the way that you are so positive, you know, but sort of you go about that in a relative, what seems like a relaxed way, but absolutely, you know, unstoppable. You're like an immovable object going in a direction that, you know.
Let's say there's 61 of us, including me, on this call. The one thing we have in common is every single one of us, including me, is going to die. Fact. Whether you like it or not, you guys are all going to die. Whether you die in 20 years or 50 years or 10 years or tomorrow, but every single one of you is going to go. So if, for example, I live for another 40 years, God willing, and I go to, you know, my holiday home once a year, I've got 40 trips to my holiday home, 40 anniversaries, 40 birthdays, 40 New Year's Eve parties, 40 Christmases. And if I put all that together, I've just got over a month and 10 days, and that's it. And then I'm gone. I would never, ever, I mean, nor will you guys come back here ever again. Whether, it doesn't matter what religion or faith you believe in, you are never, ever, ever going to come back here ever again. So the time that you spend on this earth is really tiny. I mean, literally it's a second compared to how old this planet is. So when you have a decision to make, you know, should you do it, should you not do it, it really is down to you. And my sort of way of thinking is, how would I feel if I didn't do it as opposed to if I did do it? And I've always said this to Grant, is just beast it. Go be a maniac. Don't stop. I mean, literally do not stop until you get what you want. Because if you don't, somebody else will. And then you'll think, well, I could have done that. And guess what? Do it then. Don't make any excuses.
You've just summed up my presentation.
Brilliant.
So there's a couple of things that I just wanted you to talk about, if that's okay. Just things that I've observed about, because the audience that we're talking to are all entrepreneurial, and they're either a brand partner or they're somebody who's thinking of starting a business, or somebody who's in business. And one of the things that I love about what you do is, and I wonder if you could just share it with everybody, is what you do in terms of your phone and the alarm that you've got that goes off.
Yeah. So good question. So every hour my alarm goes off, and the reason why I do that is I always ask myself, am I getting closer to my goal, or am I getting further away? One thing we do as human beings is we make excuses. I'll do it tomorrow, or I'll do it next day, or I'll do it in an hour or two. But because there's so much, people always say the law of attraction, Grant. Law of attraction. If you put it up in your mirror or in your bedroom, you'll get it. I always think the law of distraction, which no one talks about, which is the social media. If you literally, you got all the social media, i.e. LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, all the other social media platforms. I think they're all evil, if I'm honest with you, because it's a false economy, it's a false way of living. I'm old school. I like to meet people. I like to the whites of their eyes, press the flesh and say, right, do you want it or not? And I'm a salesman. That's what I do. I sell stuff or propositions. So the hour thing, what I do anywhere in the world, even when I'm trying to sleep, is I have that on to remind me that, are you on track, Jojo? Are you still doing this, and this? Are you doing that, and that? And that really helps me stay focused, because most people will write their goals down, and if they're okay, they might look at them once every 3 months. If they're good, once a week, and if they're average, once a month, and I look at it every hour. Literally, I look at my goals, right, am I getting close to my goal? And if I'm not, I change my course. And if I am, I keep on doing it. And I think the hourly thing is, because I'm bogged down with so much information, it keeps me focused. And by the way, guys, I don't have a laptop. I have 4 mobile phones, and all 4 are with me all the time. My missus always says to me, your phones are more important than me. I said, well, with respect, it's the phones that pay for everything you have. So, if you don't want me to have the nice cars, the nice houses, so be respectful. But I think, for me, it's just being really laser focused, because there's so much stuff out there that makes us unfocused. That's all.
I like that, the law of distraction. So I'm just going to see if there's any questions coming, because I can't see. You got any questions? Do you want me to read it out? Yeah.
Surrender from Vancouver, west coast of Canada.
Okay. So question from Surrender in Vancouver. How do you decide which business is for you? And did you start any business and then thought, this is not for me?
Right. Hi, Surrender. Shirelle Surrender. He's a Sikh, I think, from West Coast. Is he on the mainland, or is he on the Nanaimo? Ask him.
I've only got it on a text, I'm afraid.
Oh, I see. Right, don't worry.
Vancouver, apparently.
Mainland. Fine.
Yeah.
All right. So for me, listen, I've failed more than I've succeeded. That's the thing. But I don't talk about my failures. And I look at a company that's got big cash flow. I don't really care what sector it's in, whether it's real estate or leisure or clothing or online, offline. The company must have cash flow, because with cash flow you can leverage that and get more money. And it doesn't really matter what sector it's in. You get an expert in there. That's the first thing. Second thing is, have I made decisions in business? Absolutely. I must make 2 or 3 decisions a day that I think, oh my word, I shouldn't have done that. But I go by experience, and I always say to my guys that you don't lose. You either win or you learn. So as long as you learn from your errors, it's fine, because that's how you learn. You know what sort of person you are when it's raining, not when the sun is out. Because when the sun is out, Grant, everyone's ha ha hoo hoo hee hee. Do you know what I mean? But it's when it's raining, you think, oh my God, what am I going to do now? And how do I overcome this dark cloud? And that's what makes you. That really tests your mettle. So the answer, Surrender, is yeah, absolutely. I do make errors, and I learn from them, but I move on. But I don't dwell.
I think that reminds me of the bit when it's raining. I remember phoning you once on a Sunday morning when it was raining for me, metaphorically.
I remember.
And Yeah, I'll never forget that half an hour. I felt like I've been beaten up on the phone. It was
But
probably the most
sometimes,
inspiring half an hour I've ever had.
Yeah. But the thing is, sometimes we all need that. Even I need that. Do you know what I mean? But again, if you have a focus and if you have a why, like why do you do what you do? Most people don't have a why, Grant. They don't know why they work. They don't know why they want to do what they want to. They just carry on. They just most people on this planet are just existing. They're not living. They wake up in the morning, 9 o'clock. You know, they go the same side of the bed, go downstairs, have a cup of tea, have a coffee, have a toast, go upstairs, have a shower, have a shave, right? Well, that's just the women. And then they go to work, and then they think, mind life is crap, and then they do that Monday to Friday, and then Saturday they go out and get drunk. Sunday they bitch and moan about how crap their job is, and Monday, guess what? They're back on that wheel again. Don't do that. Don't do that, because you're not here forever. You don't want to be 85 years old in a rocking chair, Grant, and say, I could have done this, this, and this. Do it now.
Do it now.
Do it now.
So we've got Gurdev in the room. He's
Hi,
got a
Gurdev.
question for you.
Hi, Jojo, it's good there.
Can you hear him okay?
Yes, I can.
Brilliant.
I just want to know, what's the worst decision, career decision you've ever made?
There's a few. Excuse me. As a career, I mean, my degree there was actually in Birmingham Polytechnic, or which now it was then called UCE, and my father wanted me to be a doctor, dentist, lawyer, barrister, that solicitor, typical sort of Indian Punjabi, career move. But I wanted to be a salesman. And if I said to my dad, I want to be a salesman, he'd probably slap me across the face a few times and say, right, no, you're not doing that. You're going to do this, this, this. So I did a degree in estate management, which was a chartered surveying degree. I don't think I was right for it, but I did it, and it made my father and mum happy, so I did that. As a career, I would never do that. I remember, Dave, I did a 2-week stint at DTZ Debenham Thorpe, it was called then, in Birmingham. And I remember this partner, Grant, he must have been about sort of 55 years old. I was about 18. And he said to me, he said, oh, Jojo, when you're my age, you'll be earning £100,000. And I looked at him and thought, I've already got more than that right now, mate. But I'm not going to say anything. I'm just going to carry on doing it. So sometimes you've got to go through the process. And I went through the process. But as a business, I've invested in companies that I look back and think, that they weren't right, or the area wasn't right. I was one of the first companies to go to South Sudan. And South Sudan, if you know, was having a war with North Sudan. So we, same with we did a lot of work in Angola as well. And I've always said this, that where there's muck, there's money. And that's what I really like going. So, I made a lot of money in Libya. I was the last person alive to close a deal with Colonel Gaddafi worth $7.2 billion. Wow. So where there's a lot of risk, I love going to those places. Azerbaijan, North Korea, Angola, Libya, South Sudan, in Ethiopia, all the countries where people think, no, I don't want to go there. I like to go there. And that's what makes me really different, because, we're not a known company. We're not like BP or Shell or ExxonMobil. I've got literally billions of dollars to invest in. All I go by is my customer service skills. And I say to people that, look, when you work with us, we will do an open book policy. And that's what people like about us. And that's why we win those big tenders, because we go in and be fair. Look, we're an open book. We will make more money than you, but we're going to put in more money than you. So if I put in more money, I want more. If I put in less, I still want more. But it's just how you negotiate.
Bless you, sir.
That's awesome. You all right for time, Jojo? Or is it?
Yeah, no, carry on, let's go.
So I've got a couple more questions if you've got time.
Please, it's fine. No problem.
Fantastic. Thanks, buddy. So here's a good one from Rick O'Brien, one of the Bland partners over there in Ireland. Is there a point where you would cash in and retire?
Hi, Rico. How are you? The honest answer, mate, is no. I don't. People that retire, Rico, is it Rico or Rico?
No, sorry, it's Rick O'Brien. You can call him Rico, he won't mind.
Okay. I'm sure he'll mind though. I think if you do a job that is a job, then you want to go out. I don't work. I enjoy what I do. I meet so many people from all over the world, and for me, I'm always trying to gain something from. My PA said to me, he said, "You realise you got no mates." I said, "What do you mean?" He said, "You've got literally no friends." "Yes, I have." He went, "Name me 4. In fact, name me 2. I went, "Well, there's Jed from Reading." He went, "Yeah, but he's a plasterer." "Okay, right. Gary, he does your alarms." And one thing I noticed, he was actually right. I never go out for fun. Never. I don't drink, I don't smoke, I don't do drugs. So I don't have a drinking session. I played rugby for 20 years. So I like rugby. I like rugby sort of what I do. But one thing I always do is that I try and go somewhere where I'm always trying to make money. I've never, and Charles is right, I've never been to a networking event for, golly, 20 years now. I find them boring. That's not my thing because it's all false. But I never go out to have fun because for me, my business is fun. So I would never retire. I'd just carry on doing what I'm doing, and I'll probably be with my iPhone 6 Plus, 90 years old, wrinkly bollocks, sitting somewhere still working. Because for me, my work is my hobby, and my hobby is my work.
I did try to get you out on Wednesday, but you weren't having any of it, were you?
No, and again, no offense to you, mate. I just don't do that sort of stuff. If I want to buy a car,
I didn't take offence.
No, I know, mate. But if I want to buy something, I just buy it. I'm like, When I bought my Lamborghini, they said, "Do you want to test drive it?" I went, "What for?" They went, "Well, you're paying, this much money for it." I said, "Well, if I don't like it, I'll give it back to you." They went, "All right, fair enough." And they delivered it like a week later. So I just don't really. I'm very, very. I think
So it was a car show.
one thing we have to understand is this. This is where my sort of faith comes in. I'm a Sikh by profession, by faith. Sorry. My religion is we're very humble. Sort of, as much as we need to, we give a lot of stuff to charities called Seva, and I did a lot of Seva last year, where as a company we fed over 1.1 million people in the UK. And the reason, and during the pandemic, and the reason I wanted to do that is I funded the whole thing myself. I wanted to see people in the pandemic and see what they were saying and what they were doing. And one thing I realized is that as a species, what we need is, we don't need handouts, we need a hand. And that's what I like doing. Help as many people as I can, monetize my skill set, and try and make the world a better place. It's good to be good, and it's nice to be nice. And you don't need to be a horrible arsehole because you got money. Just be kind. And if you can be kind to a fellow human being, regardless of what gender or what sex they are, gender or what faith or religion or culture they are, it's just nice to help people and try and leave the world a better place than I first came. And my why is I want to try and cure the brain disease, i.e. Parkinson's, dementia, Alzheimer's, because my father had Parkinson's and my mom's got dementia, and I just want to give that sort of bit back. So, yeah.
That's awesome, mate. And we talked about that earlier. I'm really pleased you said that, because I mentioned it in the presentation earlier that there's a misconception from, the public at large that super successful people are arseholes. And I blame Alan Sugar personally for.
Yeah. Get me wrong, I've been.
Yeah.
You want to be nice, and the one question I always ask when I close a transaction, I always ask this question. I always say, "Thank you for your business, but are you happy? Are you happy?" And if they say, "You know what? No," do you know what I do? I say, "Right, we're not going to leave this office until you're happy. Forget about me. It's about you. What makes you happy? Let me make you happy." And the reason why that's important to me is that I don't want them to think, "Do you know what, that Jojo Dinta, I went to his office, blah, blah, and he did this, and this, I'm not happy." I want them to say, "No, I went to Jojo Dinta, and do you know what? He's a hard bastard, but he did." I always say to people, don't judge anybody what they say, judge what they do. And that's my mantra. And I want people to be happy. And if you're not happy, tell people you're not happy. Because, I'm not a mind reader. I'm good at most things. I can't read your mind. So for me, it's about creating a customer service, creating that value and just being honest. And sometimes, you know, you've got to be honest. You may not like it, but I promise you, honesty is always the best policy. And it has got me in trouble. It literally got me in trouble about half an hour ago when I asked one question to this Greek billionaire I know. And my question was, how do I know you're telling me the truth? And literally, he put the phone down. Which answered my question, which was probably wasn't telling me the truth. Otherwise, why would I put the phone down? But it might offend people, and you've got to be, you know, be tough, be brutal. If you can't, you don't sleep. Sleep is for weak people. Sleep, you can sleep when you're dead. Don't sleep. Just smash your business up. And I guarantee you either work hard now when you're younger, or you work hard when you're older. And trust me, it's good to be wealthy when you're young, not when you're old. Because you can't enjoy it, then you can enjoy it now. Now is a good time to enjoy it. But just going back to that, what you said earlier about being an arsehole, to coin your expression, Grant, you don't need to do that. If you've got good people around you and you've got good peeps and you've got good mental health and, you know, everyone's happy and comfortable and they're all making good money and they're happy what they do, you don't need to be nasty. You just try and be nice and be kind. Just be kind.
That's awesome, mate. Absolutely brilliant. Well, we've taken up more time than I asked for, so I do thank you so much for
invoice
that,
in the post. Is everybody? So before I go, let me ask you, 60 odd guys, are they all happy?
Yes.
Are you happy, guys?
Oh, yeah.
We're all happy.
Oh,
We're all happy
wow.
because the pizza is coming.
Oh my God. Oh my word.
Jojo, thank you so
No
much,
problem.
mate.
Have a great weekend, guys, and stay positive and be successful. Feel family and your friends around you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, buddy.
Mate. Cheers, pal. Thank you.
Right then, guys. Are we back online? Fantastic. Well, that just about wraps it up, guys. And it's been an absolute pleasure to have such amazing guests. Big thank you to Shirelle, David, Theo, Jojo, for Ed for doing the hosting. Just want to say a massive thanks to the team at Blam putting this together. This is going to be the first of many. I want to say thanks to the people that have turned up for our first actual event. All socially distanced. It's been a real pleasure to have you guys, and look forward to seeing you on the next one. And don't forget, let's make sure that we stick to this entrepreneurial. Business is brutal, but it's also bloody amazing. Thanks, guys. Woo, okay, that's a wrap.